This content is brought to you by the Layers and Legends Kickstarter, coming in early 2022. Are you a dungeon master looking to reduce your prep time but still run awesome games for your players? Would you like professional pre-made 5th edition adventures, maps, traps, puzzles, magic items, and other resources you can drag and drop into your existing campaign? The Layers and Legends Kickstarter will create 2 gorgeous hardcover books for dungeon masters containing all of this and more. The first book, Layers and Legends, will deliver 25 5th edition compatible adventures spanning levels 1 to 15 and over 100 new terrifying monsters to pit against your players. The second book, Loot and Lore, will deliver 50 magic items, 25 puzzles, 40 traps, 10 factions, 30 standalone encounters with maps, 30 villains, 30 NPCs, 70 random tables, 30 adventure ideas, 20 spells, and 4 subclasses. And through the beauty of Kickstarter and stretch goals, we'll be able to commission beautiful artwork for both books and add even more content. Furthermore, in addition to the hardcovers, you can also get both books in PDF format and a digital map pack containing all the maps from both books. And if you'd like to pick up a hardcover copy of our last Kickstarter, Into the Fae, it will be available as an add-on to Layers and Legends. Click the link below to join the Layers and Legends email list and get notified when it goes live in early 2022. Oh, there we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see you. Allura. I'm not even gonna try you. I'm gonna just call you Poppy. Allura Poppy. Hey, what's up, dude? Happy to see you again, dude. Glad to see you're excited. I'm excited too. I'm also very hungry, and I don't know how I get myself into these predicaments. I wanted to eat before the stream, and yet somehow I just found a list of stuff to do. It took me all the way up to the stream starting. Yay. Tanner, what's up, buddy? Happy birthday, Tanner. You know what? The happy birthday song is no longer copyrighted. That has expired recently. So we can actually sing happy birthday and not get like a strike and stuff, which is amazing. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but literally restaurants all had their own versions. Well, most of them did. The ones that didn't want to get in trouble had their own versions of the happy birthday song they would sing to people when it's their birthday, because literally that song was copyrighted. But my understanding is that copyright has now been lifted. So we could sing happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I'm gonna sing the Spanish version. All right, this is how we would sing it down in Central America when I lived there. All right. No, yeah. Well, we would sing part of it in English and then we'd sing the rest in Spanish. That's just how people did it down there. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tanner. Happy birthday to you. Ya queremos pastel. Ya queremos pastel. Ya queremos... no, aunque sea un pedacito, ya queremos pastel y Coca-Cola también. There we go. That is the Spanish version of happy birthday, at least where I lived. So it's just asking for cake and Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola is really big down there. It's like the national beverage besides Salva-Vida. Salva-Vida is the national beverage of the country where I lived. It literally means lifesaver. Like their national beer is called Lifesaver. I love the irony. It's a pretty good beer too, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Pastel, yeah, pastel means cake. Yes. Mountain Dew, I love Mountain Dew too. I always get the diet version though. I don't like sugar. I don't like sugar beverages. Michael DeSenville, what's up, dude? How you doing, buddy? You know, Michael, we have a question you asked in our last live stream that my moderators have carried over to the current one, so we're gonna answer your question. I love my mods. Dude, I saw that somebody, I don't know which one of you is in the spreadsheet, but whoever went back and got the 2 member questions that I missed in the last live stream and put them in the current one, you are awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. John the Vampire, what's up, dude? How you doing? Carmina, hello. Nick H, what's up, dude? Felipe, what's going on, dude? Dan Bayer. Dan Bayer's in the house. Look at that. Dan, what's up, buddy? It's been a while. I hope you're doing well, dude. Michael Gleam, what up, dude? No, Midnight Gleam. Midnight Gleam, what up? Yes, you are on time. You have arrived. Congratulations. Somebody get him a prize. or her or whatever prize. Get the person a prize. Ventricality, what's up, dude? Tashio, hello, good to see you. You can't stand the taste of artificial sweeteners? Oh, dude. Diet Pepsi, for whatever reason, Diet Pepsi is like, oh my word, so good tasting to me. It's, oh, I don't drink a ton of it. I usually drink about 1 can a week at my D&D game. That's it. Because it's not good for you. That garbage. This is just garbage in those drinks. Keijo Kami, hello. What's up? William, what up, dude? Wendy Porter, hello. Wendy's like afternoon. It's like 6 in the evening. I think, well, I don't know where you live. I'm not trying to get you to tell us where you live. We're not trying to stalk you, Wendy. I'm just having a conversation here. Okay, we're gonna move on. Leonhard, hello, how you doing? I'm digging holes. Wendy's now reporting me to YouTube. This YouTuber streamer is trying to he's stalking me on stream. Clan McStump, hello. McStump, that is an awesome name. McStump. Jacob Wayner, what's up, dude? Awesome, dude. I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad you liked that campaign. Our Curse of Strahd game is, we're just literally just playing D&D. We're not trying to put on a show or anything, which is probably not everyone's cup of tea because we're not being all fancy and stuff. But yeah, we're just playing D&D and we got the camera up. And it's pretty poor quality too at that. As far as like the video quality is atrocious. The audio is probably passable because I have like a mic up above us that's probably getting halfway decent audio, but the video is really bad. I admit that. Demo Racer, what's up, dude? Krister, what's up? Sweden, sweet. It's getting late for you, dude. Stephen Newton, hello. Please, somebody please get Stephen Newton's question in the spreadsheet. That is an excellent question. Let us talk about that. That'll be fun. Oh, the Villain Quintet? Well, thank you, Zyq. Sorry, I screwed your name up. The Villain Quintet, I did not write that, obviously. Who wrote the Villain Quintet? Was that Hannah? Something tells me that was Hannah who wrote the Villain Quintet on the dmlair.com. I don't remember offhand. But yeah, we have lots of talented writers working on the stuff we put on the dmlair.com, working on the stuff that we publish in Lair magazine. We got lots of cool folks. Lots of creativity and stuff going around. So yeah, I'm happy to hear that you like that. I got a cat down here that wants attention already. Was it Hannah? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Hannah. That seems to jog a memory. She did like a couple things recently, actually 2 in a row, I believe, for us. It was really cool. Okay, we're gonna start this and then we'll do all my sleazy plugs and then we will get going here. This cat. All right, let's see. Let's find the right buttons. I don't do this every week, so I gotta remember what buttons to push here. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome to the live stream. This is a Q&A live stream tonight. You ask questions, I'll give you answers. Some of them might be halfway decent. We're gonna hang out with the kitties. I'm gonna act like a moron. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have an enjoyable Friday evening. Hopefully you don't have to work tomorrow. If you do, I'm sorry. I don't work tomorrow, my day job at least. I'll be busy all day, so we can't go out and hang out and stuff. Sorry. Anyway, live stream tonight. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so I gotta do the sleazy plug stuff. So first things up, we are doing a giveaway tonight. Is a D&D book giveaway. There's a link in the chat. You can sign up. It's free. You don't gotta buy anything. You just put your name and crap in there, click a few buttons and stuff, and you can win a D&D book of your choice, or you can get store credit on the DM Lair store, where we have back issues of Lair magazine, one-shot adventures that we publish. We have map packs with maps that are designed for use on virtual tabletops. So we got a whole bunch of cool digital resources as well that you might be able to win. So sign up for the giveaway. We do it pretty much every live stream. We will draw the winner at the very, very end of the live stream. You do not have to be present to win. You just got to click some buttons and stuff. So yeah, go get that. We are trying to raise money for BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse. And I don't have their page up here. I'm going to show you their like landing page so that you can verify that it's like a legitimate charity and Luke's not trying to steal your money. I mean, I am, but not in this case. Bikers Against Child Abuse. It's just basically a charity organization of bikers, you know, motorcycle bikes, like, you know, the ones, Harleys and stuff that actually make noise. There was once a person that was telling me, they were telling me about I'll get to this story in a second. Let me finish the plug first. Anyway, we're trying to raise $500 for these guys. We're at like $176. There's a little bar on the screen of the live stream that shows our progress toward that. If you would like to donate to BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse, there is a link down in the chat. All tips go directly to them. Trying to get to $500. I would deeply appreciate it if you would contribute, if you feel so inclined. Child abuse is not good, and these bikers are doing crap about it. They don't think they don't beat people up, but I wish they would. That's just my thing. Okay, anyway, this is the fun story. There was this one guy once, I think he was a YouTuber. He was telling this story about how he injured his shoulder, and like he was writing this story. He was telling the story, and it was like he said he was riding his bike, and then he was thrown from his bike, and you know he landed all this, and he had to get surgery and all this kind of stuff. And like the whole time he's talking about this story, riding a bike, I was envisioning in my mind. I'm gonna go full camera for this, like on like a Harley or something, or a what do you call it? A crotch rocket, those ninja type things. And then like something happening and getting thrown and then hurting his shoulder. And I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking bad, crazy cool stuff. You know, you got thrown from your bike and stuff and got your shoulder messed up. That's a cool story, you know, to tell people. And then he told the story and I was like, oh man, I totally see him on a motorcycle. And then it came out that it wasn't actually a motorcycle. It was literally just like a bike, you know, like, I don't know, a 10 speed or a mountain bike type of thing or something. And at that point I was like, well, that's not quite as cool of a story, but I can see people getting hurt falling from bikes. I mean, you know, it happens, but it's way cooler if it's like a motorcycle. Like, you know, I would have changed the story to be a motorcycle because that just sounds way cooler. But what are you gonna do? You know, I guess he was being honest. Okay, there's my story. That's not my story. It's a story about somebody else's story that could have been improved if there would have been some slight changes to the narrative. All right, so that is that thing. We got the charity, we got the giveaway going on. You guys already saw the sleazy plug at the very beginning for Lairs and Legends. That is our Kickstarter that is going to be starting on this Tuesday coming up, 9:00 a.m. Eastern time. So there's a link in the chat where you can follow that. I've been talking about it all over the place and spamming people with messages, and I will continue to do so for the next month as that Kickstarter runs, because it's very, very cool. We're going to take everything from last year's Lair magazine, put it into 2 hardcover books. We're going to add content to it, fresh new layout, custom artwork that I'm currently commissioning, and we're already rolling on that. I have some really cool stuff in the works. Wow, some of this artwork is amazing. And then obviously we went through and corrected errata. We rewrote some of the adventures and stuff. So it's going to be very, very cool. That launches on Tuesday. So you can click that link and follow it and all that kind of good stuff. So I will keep talking about that because I am nothing but sleazy around here. And okay, the last thing we got to do here is thank our wonderful patrons and YouTube channel members for helping support all of the awesome content that we create around here. So you guys know that I do videos and these live streams and stuff, but I also publish tons of free resources over on the dmlair.com. Adventures, monsters, magic items, tons of stuff that you can use in your games, 100% free. And we pay people to write those things for you. And we also publish premium content, such as Lair magazine that also has Dungeon Master resources in it. We have map packs and lots of other things that we publish and create for the Dungeon Master community, for the D&D community. We have the Discord with moderators over there and stuff. My point is that everything that we do costs money, and we pay people to do a lot of these things. Some of the people get paid pretty dang good amounts too, I'll just say. Anyway, we pay people to do these things, and all of these wonderful people that you see on screen here help support that. And I'm deeply, deeply appreciative to all of our patrons and our YouTube members. So, a bunch of names on the screen, awesome, awesome people. And then, we got the red names right here, baby. And these folks contribute at a higher level, and so they get their names read on stream. And here we go. This is the hardest part of every stream, is reading these names, because I am bad at reading names. So, or pronouncing them, I should say. Here we go. Thank you very much to 5e Magic Shop, Aerospatial, Alex T, Amanda W, Ambers, Amy P, Andrew M, Andrew W, U, Andy S, Andy W, Anthony E, Anthony M, Antoine B, Arutha, Baldwin, Barda Bear, Benjamin B, Brad A, Brandon A, Celestina K, Chase O, Chris C, Chris E, Christopher S, Cody B, Colton T, Contrary Gravy, Corey S, Draxus, Dresna, Dutch, Ed R, Edward L, Ericos, Philip H, Flame Black 200, Frog, Goliath Claire, Gravy Chorn, Gurumunder H, Ian F, Iron Lord 79, It's Bayoban, Izzy T, Jackie Pizza, Jake L, Jacob K, James L, Jan F, Jeremy W, Jerry W, Jessica J, Jim P, J M. That was an easy name. Everybody should just have 2 letters for their name. My life would be easier. Joe D, John A, Joseph H, Josh S, Justin P, but that's how many iterations of a name could you have if there's only 2 letters? 26 letters in the alphabet, 26 to the 2nd power. What is that? That's how many iterations, right? What is that? That'd be pretty repetitive, but probably not that bad. Where was I? Justin P, Kale S, KK, Keith L, Kevin F, Kezides, Kirby, Kyle G, Kyle M, Labraworks, Leopold X92, Lionheart, Marty M, Marwin R, Matt B, Matthew J, Melinda G, Mirostal, Mr. Lynn Canoe, Mr. T, Nikita S, Oldtimer O&D, Penguin Butt, Pierre P, published author Rachel S, Radiance Guardians, Ramus, Razlik, Grace W, Renner C, Robert C, Ron R, Ronald, Ryan, SG Sounder, Sakura, Scott V, Sir John, Shane L, Sheila A, Snapbragger, Snowy Tiggy, Son of a Sofa Man, Soul Naya, Status Live, Stephen T, Steve D, Stephen A, Tactical Tokens, The Talking Napkin, The 3/4 Hospital, The Old DM, The Pickle, The Casual Nerd, The New Bad Hombre, Thomas F, Thomas T, Tiger 500, Tim Black, Thomas C, Tom C, Travelin' Cash, Tristan W, Tyler R, Vincent G, Vladimir S, Will MXX, Red Drum, booyah. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Rock and roll. All right, cool. We're done with the plugs and stuff. We can do the questions. Wee. 676 combinations. That's not too bad then. Yeah. Midnight Gleam, I thought your name was Michael because Midnight looks like Michael to me. You see, I have problems. Blitz, what's up, dude? Welcome, man. Tyrium Trevovia, hello, what's up? All right, let's rock this stuff. John the Vampire, thank you for the super chat, dude. I totally was petting a cat for you. That's mommy. So I'm doing pretty well right now. Yeah. Day job's over. It's the weekend. I don't gotta think about that crap. It's beautiful. All right. Questions. First up on the bracket. The bracket? First up in the queue? That probably works like a better word. The Lost Adventurer asks, do you prefer running low magic or high magic games? I feel that 5e characters already have a lot of power without magical weapons. The way I run my games as far as magic weapons go is I have a slow roll that gathers steam over the course of the campaign. So what you're gonna find typically in my games is that at low levels, you don't get a whole lot of magic items at all. You don't get much. It's just like a trickle, a common, an uncommon. Players will complain. Sometimes they mutiny and come after me at home, and I have to fend them off with my weapons, and it's terrifying. But eventually, once they start to hit 5th, 8th, 10th level, it picks up more. They start getting more magic items. They'll get some rares and, you know, very rares and stuff. It'll pick up steam. Once I get to 11, 12 or so, it starts to get dealt out quite a bit more generous. Almost like candy. Once you get to level 15 and above, it's just like, here you go. Take magic items. I don't care. Just take them. Have fun. That is how I do it. And let me explain why, because I think the why is important to understand here. In the early game, this is my reasoning. In the early game, magic items are disproportionately powerful when compared to just a standard player class, such as a sorcerer, paladin, etc. Magic items can unbalance the game much easier at low levels, especially if you're giving them higher power magic items. But 5th edition characters are very powerful in their own right, especially once they get past 3rd level and come into 5th level and come into 8th level. Characters get way more powerful. They get access to lots of powerful abilities and powerful spells. So at that point, when they're starting to get pretty darn powerful on their own, there are 2 things that happen. 1, when you give them magic items, those magic items don't unbalance the game nearly as much as they would at lower levels. And so I have fewer things to worry about. I don't have to worry about changing encounters if I'm running a module, for instance. I don't have to worry about all that kind of stuff because they're already pretty powerful, and you give them some magic items and they're just like, well, they're a little bit more powerful, but not noticeably so. That's the first thing. That's the first reason. The second reason is that at higher levels, they have, like I said, they have access to all these abilities and spells and cool stuff that they can do just because of their character classes themselves. When you give them magic items, they now have to choose between cool character abilities and cool magic items and the things those magic items can do. Because sometimes not everything from magic item will apply all the time. You might have to choose to use your cool wand or staff or X power from magic item instead of using your spell or your character's ability. And when you have to choose between those 2 things, what I have observed over the last, I don't know how many years of running 5th edition with higher level characters, you will find that they start to choose to use magic items less and less. They will choose their cool new spells they got, their cool new abilities more and more. And they will oftentimes even forget that they have the magic items, or at least from my point of view, it would appear that they've forgotten because they'll have this staff that's pretty darn cool and the druid like never uses it. And I'm just like, that's a really nice staff, but why aren't they using it? Because they're always using their really cool druid abilities instead. And so I find that if I do that slow roll and slowly build up, then what I can have is I have the ability at higher levels to kind of give them what I want and not worry too much about it unbalancing the game. And the players will feel rewarded. They'll feel like they have these cool things, but it doesn't cause me undue duress as far as like balancing and creating my adventures and stuff like that. So that's generally how I tend to do it. And I had another thought too, but I forgot what it was. Give me a second to think and then I'll get back to you. I swear I had another thought on that. Let me see if I can remember what it was. So slow roll, not a whole lot at the beginning, then you start to give them more, and it doesn't unbalance the game, and they have to choose and pick between them and stuff like that. So, no, I think that about covers it. I swear I had something else, though, along that line, but I don't know, I might remember it later. But anyway, that's how I do it. It tends to work pretty well. I've had pretty good experience with that. And, oh, the caveat to this, of course, is if you, by the time they get to 12th level, decide to give them an artifact, well, then that is pretty powerful, and that could obviously change the balance of things. So you do need to take that into consideration. Don't be ridiculous and start giving them artifacts at level 12 unless you fully know the implications of that and what that will do and what you will need to do accordingly as a dungeon master. So the big caveat, of course, to all of this as well is that if you are a veteran dungeon master and you know how all these things work, then you can just do whatever you want and you can adjust your game and you know how to do that. But this is my methodology. This is how I've always kind of done it in 5th edition. and it seems to work fairly well. Players will sometimes complain at early levels because they're not getting a whole lot of magic items, but then they start getting more and more and more, and then they probably have more than they know what to do with. And the other thing that comes into play too is attunement. Attunement is an amazingly wonderful game mechanic in 5th edition, in my opinion. And that is why at higher levels, once you start giving them magic items like candy, it doesn't really matter a whole lot because the really good magic items require attunement. And they can only be attuned to 3 magic items at a time, except for artificers, of course, exception. So that limits the power, that limits their ability. And then they have to start choosing. They have to make difficult choices. Well, I have this assortment of magic items. Which ones are we going to attune to? And that could be interesting too. And so there's another game mechanic that comes into your favor as well at higher levels that limits the power of magic items that works very well in 5th edition. There you go. Bingo. There's my thing. All right. David Kent, hello. Awesome. I'm happy that my videos appear to help you, dude. Your first session? Cool. I hope it went well, dude. That's amazing. Sometimes the first sessions either bomb and folks feel like depressed, or they go amazing and everybody's super excited and you're riding like a high, and that's really cool. All right. Next, Michael DeSenville had a question from last stream, and we're getting to it now. I saw another video that you used height differences in some battle maps. Do you use your crazy math skills to measure distance with trigonometry? No, we keep things as simple as possible. Like, yeah, no, we don't do, if it's like the enemy is flying over here and the person's gonna fly toward him, we do not calculate the hypotenuse of that triangle. No. I realize somebody's like, well, that's really easy, Luke. You can do that pretty quickly. You know that. I don't care. We're going to do that. We're just going to ballpark it, dude. I don't want to get the game bogged down in math and stuff. Sometimes somebody will want to move somewhere and I'll just eyeball it and be like, yeah, you can move there. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. Like, I just don't want to. Sometimes those details are important. Sometimes they're just annoying. So I don't tend to, especially when you get into 3 dimensions, I am not nitpicky about 3 dimensions. When we're just on a flat grid, then I'm gonna be a little bit more nitpicky about distances, and I want people to move the proper distances because we're playing tactical combat, and that is important. But once we start getting 3 dimensions and things get more complicated, I get a little bit looser with it just for the sake of the speed of gameplay and not bogging things down. Gaming Booger, what's up, dude? David says he's riding the high. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that, dude. What's for dinner? You know what, Andrew, what I wanted to have for dinner was a pasty. I have a bunch of pasties in the freezer, and that's what I wanted to have for dinner, but it takes like 40 minutes to cook these things, and then I have to eat it and stuff. I don't know, when my wife gets home, maybe I'll ask her to make us pasties, and then I'll just eat it on stream or something. I don't know. What is the most epic April Fool's prank you've ever seen? Nah, I don't know. Everybody, like, YouTubers like to do April Fool's pranks. Did the Dungeon Coach do an April Fool's video today? We're gonna go to the Dungeon Coach. I need to see if the Dungeon Coach did an April Fool's video. He is a huge April Fool's. He likes doing those stupid things. And so I need to see if the Dungeon Coach did an April Fool's video today. The Dungeon Coach. Let's see what he did today. Let's see if he did an April Fool's video. Come on, don't let me down, buddy. No, he didn't. Alan, what the crap, dude? Somebody send the Dungeon Coach. I'll send him a message. Hold on a second. We're gonna talk to him right now. I'm gonna send him a message. Hold on, we're gonna talk to the Dungeon Coach. Stand by.
Is the adoption?
All right, hold on. Okay, Alan, we're on stream right now, and we were going over to your YouTube channel to see if you had an April Fool's video that came out, because today's April 1st, and we noticed that there's not a video there. And so literally, here's chat right here, and they're very upset that you didn't do a video. Just want to let you know. There, I'll razz him. All right, cool. Let's do some more questions. Can't believe he didn't do an April Fool's video. It's crazy. Is there anything you do to get yourself in a creative mood? I start. That is the most important thing. Start. I rarely feel like prepping for a D&D game. Like, I rarely feel like I'm motivated to do it. I rarely feel creative. So I start. I pick up the monster manual. I pick up whatever it is. I start flipping through. I start looking at monsters. I start looking at whatever it is that I need to do to start the adventure. I just start. And then as I force myself to do the thing that I need to do, usually I get in the mood. Usually things pick up and I get excited about it. And that tends to work for me. But I don't know a way to get into a creative mood. I don't know. I'm slowly just... If you allow your actions to follow your feelings, you will probably be in a bad place in life in a lot of situations. Like, if our actions follow our feelings, we'll never get things done. We'll just sit around all day and just be like, well, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like doing that. Like, that is like the antithesis of productivity and getting stuff done, is to allow our actions to follow our feelings. We need to take the action and then hope that our feelings follow. But if they don't, we just follow through with discipline and we get it done regardless. So I don't know. I don't think that really answers your question, but that's kind of my thought process about that sort of thing. If I'm not in the mood or I don't feel creative, I still do the thing. I can't afford to postpone it and wait till later. Like, my calendar can't support that. Like, anything that I don't get done when I'm supposed to get it done means that my whole calendar just gets piled up with more crap that needs to get done. And it just doesn't work very well. So I just get stuff done when it needs to get done. All right. Oh, here's another question. Do you have any cool ideas for Dragon Heist? Dragon Heist? What is that, a module that came out? Is that something that Wizards made? What the heck is Dragon Heist? Wizards of the Coast, Dragon Heist. What is that? Is that a book? Did they come out with that book or something? Oh, it looks like they did. Oh, you're talking about the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Yes. Okay, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Thank you, sir. I'm like, it's been a while. What was the question? Do you have any cool ideas for Dragon Heist? I mean, I ran most of the module. I don't think I had any cool ideas for it, though. I've seen your story video with the Intellect Devourer. My players are entering chapter 3. What's your favorite boss? I don't know that I have any really cool things that's gonna blow your socks off for Dragon Heist. There's that one chapter that kind of gives you a bunch of adventure ideas, but doesn't actually give you an adventure to run. You have to flesh those out yourself. Pick a few of those that sound interesting and create proper adventures out of them. Instead of like they give you like literally several pages listing adventure ideas and they're just like, good luck. So I feel like they do that in a lot of modules. What is it, that Storm Giant one? What was that one called? Oh, what was that one called? The Storm Giants. What the heck was that? Storm King's Thunder did that. There's like a whole chapter in Storm King's Thunder that is actually like a campaign setting. It literally describes about 20 to 30 different places of interest or cities along the Sword Coast to the north and stuff. And it's like a campaign setting, and they give you tiny plot hooks and adventure ideas in each of the places, and then they're just like, good luck. And they tout it as a sandbox. And like, this is a sandbox. You could have your players travel all over the Sword Coast and the Savage North and do all of these amazing things and stuff. And look at, we gave you all of these little tiny paragraphs with adventure ideas in them and plot hooks. And this is a sandbox. You can just, And the dungeon master that tries to run that is like, well, thanks for all of the great ideas, but now I have to flesh this out myself, which I'm okay with doing that because I'm a dungeon master and I like doing that sort of thing. But when I buy a module, I kind of prefer you to do that for me because that's why I bought the module. Anyway, they like to do that stuff. But anyway, Dragon Heist. What I did for Dragon Heist is I picked one of the villains, Jarlaxle. I love Jarlaxle. He is like one of my favorite characters out of R.A. Salvatore's whole series. Drizzt gets really annoying. I love Jarlaxle though, for some reason. He's just really, really cool. And so in Dragon Heist, I picked Jarlaxle, not as a villain, but as a patron of the group. He was going to become the group's patron and pit them against the Xanathar, I believe, and potentially against some of the other villains in Dragon Heist. And so he was going to help them and be a benefactor for the group. And then my point with that was after Dragon Heist, I was thinking of running the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. And so at that point, one of the big problems with Dungeon of the Mad Mage is that there's no real reason to go into that dungeon. Like at the very beginning of the module, they give you some like tiny plot hooks, but they're pathetic and really horrible. And they only apply, they're just bad. They're bad. And so I needed to give my players a reason to actually go through this massive dungeon crawl. And so I was positioning Jarlaxle as a patron, a benefactor, that after they got through Dragon Heist, he would be giving them reasons to go into this dungeon. I would be creating more plot hooks for them to do things in this dungeon, to give them a reason to go down into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. And so I was kind of positioning him to do that. We never actually finished Dragon Heist. I had to stop that group because I didn't have enough time to run the game. My YouTube channel was picking up and things were going on and I just didn't have enough time. So we never got to quite finish Dragon Heist and we never got to do Dungeon of the Mad Mage. But that was my idea for how I was going to do it. It just never actually happened. So maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. You take that and do whatever you want with it. Anna Balefire, hello. Good to see you. Anna comes to almost every stream now. She's like, I'm loyal. Luke, I'm loyal. Give me bacon. All right. Well, you know what? You're in luck because Goliath Cleric is in the stream tonight and they have tons of bacon. They have like all the hiding. They're actually not hiding places. I was corrected today or yesterday. They're not hiding places. They are storage locations for bacon. There's multiple storage locations all throughout people's homes, apparently, that are appropriate to hide bacon. And so they'll give you some bacon, yo. Alex asks, as someone who has published multiple D&D adventures, do you have advice for DMs who want to publish one for themselves? For a homebrew, for a home game, everything builds on itself. How do you recommend planning? Yeah, it's really hard because if you just take something that you have created for your homebrew game and try to just publish it as is to other people, it won't make sense to them. It won't. What you need to do is you need to rework elements of your adventure that you created for your group so that it can be applicable and usable by a wider audience, or by people that don't have context of what's going on. Now, usually the dungeon proper, what's actually in the dungeon, that usually doesn't need a whole lot of tweaking. But what you do need to change is the backstory, like the plot and everything that's going on. That needs reworking to make it so that anybody can just pick it up and drag and drop it into their game. And then plot hooks as well. So the backstory, the plot, and then plot hooks are going to need a lot of work. Those are the things I would recommend tweaking the most to make sure that the goal is that anybody can grab your adventure, they can read it, and then they can drag it and drop it into their game. And they have all the information to do so. That is your goal. So those are my steps I would recommend for trying to make it more broadly applicable to people so they could actually use it. And then, you know, if you're going to be publishing it, be careful of SRD, learn what that is, follow the rules. If you don't, you know, I usually don't recommend publishing on DM's Guild because they take 50% of your profits. and then they own your content. They literally they can use your content however they want. So you lose like property rights and crap in a way, which I think is just this is ridiculous. I would never do that. But most people are never going to actually make any real money or anything. So it's probably easier to not to have to worry about SRD and all that kind of stuff. So you could just throw it on DM's Guild. It makes your life a little bit easier, I suppose. Whereas if you go the drive-through RPG route, you need to be a lot more careful. But they give you a higher percentage of your what you make. But like I said, most people probably they're not going to make over $100 in an entire year through sales. So that's not even a consideration, really, in my opinion. But I'm getting kind of deep into this, so we're just gonna move on. But there's some ideas for you. The biggest issue that somebody is going to run into trying to publish on DM's Guild or Drive-Thru RPG is marketing. How are people going to find out about your product? That is the biggest thing that you're going to run into. The biggest problem you're going to run into is people finding out about your product. How are they, because like right now on Drive-Thru RPG, I have lots of stuff up there, and I put something new up. Every single month is a new adventure that goes up on Drive-Thru RPG. I also put it on my own store, but it also goes on Drive-Thru RPG. And I probably make like $300 a month on Drive-Thru RPG. It's a pittance. It's like nothing, But it's probably got links and stuff or something. And even when I do plug it hard and stuff in videos and stuff in the past, the sales are just kind of like lackluster and stuff. So it's not something that you can really. My point is that marketing is a thing you're going to run into. You could create an amazing, wonderful product. It could be spectacular, but if nobody knows about it and nobody finds out about it, they can't buy it. And so I think that's going to always be the impediment. And because publishing on Drive-Thru RPG or DM's Guild is so easy, there are so many people doing it, right? Which means that like the good content is that much harder to find theoretically. Now, they probably have mechanisms to percolate things to the top. They probably do, maybe. But if you're new and you're putting content out there that's really high quality and good, but nobody knows about it and nobody buys it, like you're not going to get to the top of these bestseller lists or something. You have to have a way to market it and get people to go out there and buy it and stuff. So I think that is probably like one impediment, right? And I don't know if there's like a native like on platform way that new people who publish can get discovered and stuff. I don't know about that, if there's like a discoverability thing, or if it's just basically high sales always go to the top, and that's what everybody sees. And if you just publish something, you're on page like 24 of the search results or something, you know what I mean? So I think that's going to be one of your big impediments, right? One of the challenges, hurdles to overcome is even if you have a great product, is telling people about it. How are you let them know about it? So that is just something to consider as well. People are like, that's really depressing, Luke. You can look at it as depressing, or you can look at it as this is the challenge. This is the reality of things. So let's figure out how to solve that problem. And if I really want to do it, what am I going to do to overcome that? So, it could be depressing, or it could just be like, this is what it is. Let's go in with our eyes open and figure out how to overcome the problem, as opposed to going in blind, and being full of hope and stuff, and then not taking the proper actions and then failing potentially. You know what I mean? So I don't know. There's different ways to look at it. These cats are all just waiting for their food. They're cat treats. Why the arm brace, Nixit? Well, I'll tell you why the arm brace. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I got my hand caught in a corn picker. All right, on the farm tractors, and so they got the corn pickers, right? Just got totally mangled. Had to amputate it. Okay, but here's the thing. So I got like one of those, like, what do they call them? The biomechanical like replacements for the arm. All right, and it's cool. The skin grafting and stuff. They did a really good job and all of that stuff. But there is still an angry red slash, like where they actually had to like attach it and stuff right there. There's this angry red line, and I don't know, the arm brace, it covers it up and it makes me look athletic. You know what I mean? Like it's from tennis, or tennis is not, I don't want to be associated with tennis. Let's do like boxing or something. That sounds tougher, I suppose. So that's why Nixit, if you're wondering, works really well. It's better than Luke Skywalker got in Star Wars. Waffles. He says he lies as naturally as he breathes. A true DM. Why do you think I'm lying? Like, dude. It's funny. I was at work a couple days ago or something, and somebody asked me a question, and I just came up with an elaborate lie. You know what I mean? And they laughed and stuff. And then I told them that I'm a professional liar. I don't think they got it. I don't think they realize I am almost quite literally a professional liar. Like, I make tons of money lying by running the game, being a dungeon master and stuff like that, you know. I would never lie to you, Waffles. Okay, here we go. Let's see. How do I handle players versus DM mentality? Well, Jesse, I mean, if you're the dungeon master, don't have that mentality. I think the trick is to play your monsters to win, but you as the dungeon master want your players to win. Like, you can do both. I do it all the time. I play my monsters hard, right? They're trying to win, whatever that means. But at the same time, I don't want them to win. I want my players to win. I do. You can do both simultaneously as the dungeon master. And that's my recommendation. Try to cultivate that mentality and that way of looking at it and thinking about things. It is totally possible. What is that? Jen says, how do you tell or test that homebrew is balanced? And Ed, I think, is in the spreadsheet, and he's like, send them to me or something. Oh, the answer is you send it to me. Oh, yes. So Jen, the way that I test if homebrew things are balanced is I send it to Ed. Ed is our lead developer for Lair magazine and all of our DM Lair publications, and he checks everything to make sure that it's balanced, essentially. So he's the final stop on that, essentially. But how would you check if it's balanced? Well, first of all, if my standard rule is to compare it to existing things. If you look at stuff that Wizards has already published, look at their earlier stuff, because the recent publications are stronger and stronger, all of the things in there. But if you compare them to things that are, for instance, in the player's handbook, you compare classes, you compare spells, you can compare race abilities and stuff like that. If you compare your homebrew thing to things that are already published, you ask yourself, are these roughly of the same power level, or is my homebrew drastically overpowered? Ask yourself that question. Try to balance it out as much as possible. And then, once you feel you have it properly balanced, take your homebrew and make it less powerful. Because everybody makes homebrew that's way more powerful than it should be. Everybody, except for Ed, because he's awesome. Goliath Cleric's pretty good too. But everybody takes their like, woo! And they go crazy on their homebrew and it's way too powerful. You got to tone it down some. So balance as much as you can by comparing it to existing stuff, and then take it down a little bit more. And then it's probably balanced. That's my recommendation. Do you have any thoughts on hex crawls? How about a normal campaign where only travel is handled like a hex crawl? That's a great idea, dude. That's actually a really good idea. You have a normal campaign that has adventures that happen here, there, and the other place, and then when they're traveling, it's like a hex crawl. That is an interesting idea. I have never ran a proper, complete hex crawl. That's a really cool idea. I think you're onto something. We're gonna try that out somewhere. Hex crawls are a thing that I think I've been interested in for some time. but I've never actually implemented it and done it, so I don't know how well it would work. So I can't really give you Luke's complete thoughts on that, except that I'm intrigued. Andrew says, I've been running a campaign for 2.5 years. They are now level 15. What is the best way to transition the campaign towards an in-game feeling and make the payoff worthwhile? So I would imagine that you have been positioning some sort of big bad evil guy throughout this campaign. And if you haven't, you need to do that really quickly, because the best way that there should be some sort of, usually a central tension, a central theme, something horrible that's going on. And then at some point in the campaign, they're starting to work toward overcoming that thing. And they're taking out they have incremental goals. They take this, they achieve this thing, and they achieve this thing. That gets them closer to stopping whatever that horrible thing is. And then every time they go on an adventure, you know, that has to do with that main campaign arc, they're getting closer to overcoming whatever that horrible thing that's going on. But there is going to be a final step in stopping that horrible thing. It's usually the big bad of the campaign. It's usually some powerful villain. That is the final step. And so the way to make it feel like, you know, you end the campaign on a high and it wraps up and they're all very satisfied is you want that buildup where they're incrementally accomplishing goals that get them closer to stopping that horrible thing from happening. And then on their final adventure, they face off against the final big bad or whatever it happens to be, and they may or may not defeat it. And if they do defeat it, they're going to feel like, oh my gosh, we finally did it and it's all over and we won and it's amazing. And then they're going to feel that way. If they lose in that final confrontation against the big bad, then they'll have a similar feeling of, wow, holy crap, we almost got there and then we all died, but dang. And that'll still be a really cool, fun moment, in my opinion, whether you defeat the big bad or whether you all wipe in style. But that's how you do it. You want the incremental accomplishments that get you closer and closer with a final climatic, whatever it happens to be, that caps it off. And that's really how you accomplish that. But you need to have that build up and those incremental goals and stuff, and you build that in there. Now you're at 15. If you want to start doing that and wrapping it up, you know, you can wrap it up in a couple levels or something if you want to, if you haven't had that build up, but you need to start, you know, putting that in there. Oh, this is a good question. Stephen Newton. Your name reminds me of those cookies, the Fig Newtons. Is it you guys know what the Fig Newtons are? Who knows about the Fig Newtons? Those like little squarish cookies with like, they have figs and stuff and probably lots of sugar. I love those cookies. Those are really, really good. Is your family at all, do you have any stock or, Steven, you can send me some of those cookies? I'll give you my P.O. box, dude. You just hook me up. I'll be happy. Yeah. Anna says she likes Fig Newtons. Nice. I love Fig Newtons. I don't eat them very often. It's probably been well over a year since I had any, but I like them a lot. I like being able to break them apart and then put them back together and they stick together. I'll be like, and then I'll put them back together and I'll be like, oh yeah. I don't know. My brain is weird. That's my thing. Okay, so Stephen Newton's question. Would you consider the multiverse book set worth buying since I don't have Tasha's or Xanathar's? Okay, so the Masters of the Multiverse, Masters of the Universe. I'm getting He-Man confused with Wizards products. I think it's intentional too. Monsters of the Multiverse essentially has Volo's. All they did was take Volo's monsters and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes monsters, and they just literally reprinted those monsters with some changes, asterisk, some changes. They put those in Monsters of the Multiverse. But guess what? That's not all. There is one new monster, a dolphin. So they reprinted all of the existing monsters from Volo's and Mordenkainen's, and they added a dolphin they could say that there's new content. You wouldn't want people to get upset with you, would you, for just reprinting existing monsters in a book, would you? Anyway, they took all those, they put it into a book, and that's Monsters of the Multiverse. And in the box set, you can also get Tasha's and Xanathar's. So the question is it worth it? Well, if you don't already have Volos and Mordenkainen's, then yeah, and yeah, then that's probably worth it for you, because you're going to be getting the monsters from Volos and Mordenkainen's, and then you're going to get Tasha's and Xanathar's, which I'm assuming you want. And then in that case, it'll be worth it to you. If you already own Volos, Guide to Monsters, and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, at that point, I would say you probably don't need to get that box set. You probably should just go out and buy Tasha's and Xanathar's, and that's probably going to be more economical for you. Yeah, I think that's how I would go with that. All right. Lord God, thank you for the super chat, dude. I appreciate that. Where is that super chat question? Here we go. Advice for linking story events together cleverly. I'm out of coffee or tea. I'm not a clever person. I can give you advice for linking them together, but I can't guarantee you that it's clever. In fact, I can probably guarantee you that it's not clever. I'm obvious. I don't try to be clever or slick or smooth when I'm game mastering. I just do things. So the way that I traditionally will try to link together story events or plot hooks in my game is, obviously you can have NPC quest givers. That's fine. We all know that. That's easy. One of the things that I like to do when I'm running homebrew adventures or homebrew campaigns is, if there is let's say there's a big bad and there's a bunch of lieutenants or something, and they're going to work their way up, taking out the lieutenants and stuff on their way to the big bad, then what I'll do is I'll just have something like, the big bad needs to give instructions to his lieutenants. And so he sends them letters. And so my players, when they take out a lieutenant, they're going to find some letters, some correspondence from the big bad to the lieutenant and vice versa. They might find a journal where the lieutenant was keeping notes and stuff. And then that's an opportunity for me to give my players some handouts. That gives them some more information. It'll reveal more of the plot, more of the events that are transpiring in the world that they might not know about. And it usually has a hook that leads them to another thing that they could go do that they didn't know about before. And so that's one thing that I will traditionally do. I did that a whole lot in my Sword Coast Guard campaign. I did that a ton in my Hand of Light game. I don't do it a whole lot right now in my Ancient Dragon game, because they are a AC Inc. group, and so things just kind of work a little bit differently in those sorts of groups. And right now they're on a total side tangent, basically trying to kill all the bad people in this what do you call it? I forget what they call it. The Dark Shards. It's a place they went. What do they call that? A realm of dread. They're just trying to kill all the bad people in this realm of dread. And so I don't have to be clever about plot hooks, because they just want to go from bad person to bad person and kill them all. And it's like, okay, well, that's pretty easy. Let me just tell you who's next. All right, Maxim Sellen, thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. By the way, guys, we are doing a giveaway. There's a link in the chat. Thank you, moderators. Sign up for a D&D book giveaway. It's free. You don't have. We'll draw the winner at the very end of the stream, but you don't have to be present to win. Please go sign up for that. You get a free D&D book, or you can get store credit on the DM Lair store. Lots of cool stuff for you there. So go sign up for that. We're also trying to raise money for Bikers Against Child Abuse. They are a charity organization of bikers who are against child abuse. So if you would like to help support that, you can tip. There's a link in the chat for tipping. And I do want to thank Anthony English for your $25 tip. Very, very appreciative, dude. That will put us at $201 for Bikers Against Child Abuse. And we're trying to get to $500. And Anthony now has his name at the top here. You can kill Anthony and get him off the screen for $50. He's like, thanks, Luke. Trying to get my name off the stream. Okay, we were in the middle of a question. Maxim says, as you mentioned Storm King's Thunder, how do you suggest prepping for that sandbox section and prepare a good campaign? This is what I would do. I would decide which areas of that sandbox area I think are most interesting. And then I would prepare plot hooks for my players. Maybe let's pretend that in that sandbox chapter, let's just say that they're gonna do 3 adventures. You know, I would probably give them plot hooks for 5 different things that I think are interesting in different locations in that sandbox. And then, you know, they would look at the plot hooks and tell me which one they think is most interesting. I might just only give them 3 at a time, but I would have a 5 total. I give them 3 plot hooks, things they could do, and I would ask them, hey, which one of these 3 things do you guys think is the most interesting that you would like to go do? And we do it a little bit, sometimes we do it a little bit more sly than that, maybe not as blunt, but for all intents and purposes, that's what I'm doing. And then they look at those 3 plot hooks and they say, hey, we'd like to go do that one. Okay, cool. I will prepare that thing for the next game session. And then we come back and we go do that thing. Once we're getting toward the end of that thing, it doesn't always cleanly happen at the end of game sessions. Sometimes you got to ask them in the middle of at the end of a game session when they still have a little bit left to go on the one adventure, but you know that they're going to get the next one and the next one, so you got to ask them. But essentially, when you're getting close, you ask them, hey, what's the next thing you guys want to go do, so that I can prepare it for the next game session. That's how I run sandboxes. I give my players bunches of options, but not too many. Well, sometimes I give them a lot, but then I ask them, which one are you guys going to do next, so that I can prepare for it. And that's how I run sandboxes. So that's how I would manage Storm King's Thunder if I were running it in my game. Really need to get some more tea. Drogbear, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate that, dude. All right, another question here. Your opinions on characters calling out what they want to roll versus having the DM tell them what they should roll. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't really like it when a player announces, can I make an insight check? Like, I would much rather a player say, I think that guy might be lying or hiding something. I'd like to see if he's telling the truth. And then I will ask for the insight check. My preference is for a character to describe what their character, for the player to describe what their character is attempting to do. And then I will call for the check. That is my preference. I always prefer to do it that way. Now, sometimes it's super obvious, like if the NPC is telling them something and then a player's like, insight check, everybody knows what they want to do. And so sometimes it's like, do they need to describe it? Probably not. You know what I mean? Or instances like if you have a player who's like, okay, I'm gonna try to sneak quietly down that corridor, and they preemptively roll, that's a 15 on my stealth. I don't have a problem with that because we've been playing together for a while. They know that Luke's gonna ask him for a stealth check. And so if they just say, hey, I'm gonna try to sneak quietly down that corridor, and then they roll it, it's like they're saving us time. That doesn't bother me. There are probably other situations where, you know, they might preemptively roll or they'll just declare a check that would irritate me, and I would rather have them describe it. I don't know any examples offhand. I could tell you that it goes both ways though. Sometimes I would rather they just describe what they're doing and then I'll decide the check. Other times I'm okay with them just making the roll. Either way, I don't like get frustrated or angry with them if they preemptively tell me a thing, because there's no way for them to know when is it okay to tell Luke, you know, that I'm just gonna make the roll, and when is it okay, when do I need to like describe my actions? You know what I mean? Like they have no way of reading my mind, you know, and so it's just something I deal with, but I don't like take it out on them. I don't know if that makes sense at all. So it's not that big of a deal. I don't get worked up about that. You know, it's not that big of a thing. All right. we are going to give our cats some kitty treats and stuff. But first, I'm going to show you a little video here about Layers and Legends. It is our Kickstarter that is coming up this Tuesday, April 5th. It's going to launch at 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. And there's a link in the chat where you can follow the project. Basically, we're going to have 2 hardcover books full of 5th edition resources. It's going to be very, very cool. Lots of amazing stuff. So sign up for that, follow the project so you'll get notified. It's going to be amazing. Whee! And I'm going to show you a video about it too. This content is brought to you by the Layers and Legends Kickstarter, coming in early 2022. Are you a dungeon master looking to reduce your prep time but still run awesome games for your players? Would you like professional pre-made 5th edition adventures, maps, traps, puzzles, magic items, and other resources you can drag and drop into your existing campaign? The Layers and Legends Kickstarter will create 2 gorgeous hardcover books for dungeon masters containing all of this and more. The first book, Layers and Legends, will deliver 25 5th edition compatible adventures spanning levels 1 to 15 and over 100 new terrifying monsters to pit against your players. The second book, Loot and Lore, will deliver 50 magic items, 25 puzzles, 40 traps, 10 factions, 30 standalone encounters with maps, 30 villains, 30 NPCs, 70 random tables, 30 adventure ideas, 20 spells, and 4 subclasses. And through the beauty of Kickstarter and stretch goals, we'll be able to commission beautiful artwork for both books and add even more content. Furthermore, in addition to the hardcovers, you can also get both books in PDF format and a digital map pack containing all the maps from both books. And if you'd like to pick up a hardcover copy of our last Kickstarter, Into the Fae, it will be available as an add-on to Layers and Legends. Click the link below to join the Layers and Legends email list and get notified when it goes live in early 2022. Okay, here we go. It's time to give our cats some treats. I have 4 of them right now. I want to see if I can get some more. Does anybody else have cats that are running right now toward your computer? All right. I don't know where the rest are, but we're gonna give them some treats now. I've only got 4 of them. Whoops, that's the wrong button. You guys are crazy. No. Orange, what are you doing, buddy? I shall return.
Me crazy, never got your name, but you got me begging. All I know about you, you like to pick and choose, make it all about you. Go take it all if you want, taking the chance, stuck in my head, not gonna leave it at that. Taking the lead, feeling your heat, just wanna give you my best. I don't even know your name, but you got me, 'cause you're old to die. We don't know what happens next,
I forgot to put. I have water. I forgot the tea. Orange. All the cats ran away. I don't know what happened. Okay, here's a great question. Charles asks, my wife now has a dragon wyrmling. What can I do to offset the advantage she has? What? I would have thought about that before you gave her a dragon wyrmling. But it's possible it came up organically during gameplay. You know, they just somehow did the right things, and now this will just whatever dragon wyrmling is following her. The thing to remember about dragons, one, they are very intelligent. They're at least as intelligent as a human, usually, even though some of them, like white dragons, are stupider. But many of the dragons are more intelligent than humans. So remember that. Dragons have their own motivations, their own reasons for doing things. They're not pets. They're not pets. They're more like allies. They have motivations and reasons for doing things. So they're not just gonna blindly follow instructions like a pet trained dog or something. That's not gonna be the case. Now, if you have a really stupid, like maybe it's a white dragon wyrmling, like one of the stupidest dragons that there are, that might be more like that, but probably still more like, you know, a dangerous wild wolf as opposed to, you know, just a trained tame dog. So that's the first thing to remember. Run them like NPCs, right? And they need to make sure, the player needs to make sure that their interests, or that the NPC's interests, align with theirs, and that they're keeping that NPC, the dragon, properly motivated to stay with them as an ally. Otherwise, they might just be like, you know what, we're done, goodbye. Next thing to remember, dragons probably eat a lot when they're growing. So they're going to have to spend some money to keep that dragon fed and happy. Probably, I don't know, the equivalent of 3 pigs a day, let's say. 9 gold pieces a day. They're going to have to feed that thing. So that's a tax you could take from the players who have that dragon wyrmling. So I think those are a couple things to keep in mind. There should be, it's not just like, you know, we have it and now we can ignore all those things. It's not like that. Now, as far as to offset the balance, I would consider that dragon wyrmling, depending on the level of the group, just to be another NPC or another character, so that when you are calculating how many monsters to have in your various encounters, you just count that dragon wyrmling as another character. Maybe you count it as like a level 3 character, let's say. And then you just do your math and calculations based upon that. And then you just adjust your encounters for that. Now you'll say, but Luke, we're running a module. That means I have to adjust all the encounters in the module? Probably, but a dragon wyrmling isn't going to gain levels and experience and get more powerful. It's going to be static. So once the group gets to about like level 8 maybe, that dragon wyrmling's usefulness slowly decreases and it doesn't affect things quite as much. So you won't have to like adjust everything in the game. But in the earlier levels, when it has more power, then yeah, you're gonna have to do stuff like that. So those are a few different things to consider in that scenario. Oh, that's good. Wendy Porter says, what is the best way to handle a player with a higher than his level weapon? with a higher than his level weapon. So I think that means he has a magic weapon that is like very powerful above what his level is. My first recommendation is to don't get yourself in that situation to begin with, because as Dungeon Master, if that happens, you kind of only have yourself to blame. So avoid it when you can. If it happens for reasons, then you just have to account for that power of having his weapon, and you have to adjust your game and make things more challenging as a result. It's just kind of what you got to do. There's no clean solution to that. You could ask for him to give it back, but that usually doesn't go over very well. My opinion is you made that bed, sleep in it. You gave him that thing, you allowed it to happen, now fix it. And it's not hard, it's not that big of a deal, you'll be fine. All right, I see a bunch of super chats coming in, so I should probably pay attention to these. Thank you, thank you. Okay, wow. Well, first of all, let's go back in time. Tarmina, thank you so much for the $10 tip. I really appreciate that. Let me find that. Where was that tip? I can't find that tip. I don't know where Tarmina's question on her tip is in the sheet, but we'll answer it because I can see it right here. How do I get my players to act more like their PC and less like themselves? Don't worry about it. Honestly, don't worry about it. This is not a battle that you're going to win. It is not a battle, in my personal opinion, that a dungeon master should worry about too much. Here's the thing. You can control yourself and yourself only. As a person, I can control my actions. I can control what I say, usually. Although I sometimes say stuff I probably shouldn't. But I can control myself. I cannot control other people. I cannot control what they do and what they say. I can't. I might try, but they'll probably hold it against me. It might not go very well. So my philosophy is, if somebody else is doing something that is not detrimental to the game, it's not ruining the game, it's not ruining other people's experience, it's not ruining everybody else's fun, they're just doing something that I would do differently, that I think is not role-playing their character properly, but it's not having, nobody's fun is being ruined, there are no massive negative effects, then I don't care. If they're doing something that's actually affecting the game, that is a problem, that is ruining people's enjoyment and fun, we address it. Otherwise, they're welcome to role-play their character how they see fit. Now, it might be that they're not role-playing it properly according to how the character sheet says. That is their character. That is their prerogative. They're role-playing themselves and not their actual character. That's life. That's how they decided to do it. Don't worry about it. Move on. Move on. You're not going to win that battle. It's not worth fighting that battle. Like, it just doesn't matter. If they don't, don't worry about it. I am probably, honestly, very guilty of doing that very thing, by the way. I am playing a monk right now, Barbaric, in Goliath Clerics, Gabe, and I am actually probably role-playing myself and my personality far more than I was role-playing that monk. And as a consequence, the monk's deity rejected him, and I'm in trouble now. So anyway, I got in trouble. But anyway, don't worry about that battle. I would just move on. It's not worth going there. There are so many other things that are more important for you to be doing as a dungeon master that are going to improve your game way more than worrying about that player and how they're role-playing their character. Like, seriously, focus your efforts as a dungeon master on the things that will create the most results in entertainment and fun and enjoyability for everybody at the game table. Focus your time and your efforts on those things, not on the things that just aren't worth your effort and time. It's not, because there's the return on investment in trying to fix that problem is just pitiful compared to if you were to do something different, like spend more time preparing awesome, amazing adventures or homebrewing monsters or whatever it is that could produce lots of results and lots of ROI basically on your time. So that's my recommendation. Okay, let's try to get into some of these super chats. I got member questions too. Woo! All right. Drogbear, thank you for the $5 super chat. Would you ever consider taking Sacred Flame over Toll of the Dead? Thanks for all the great content. Appreciate it. You're very welcome. Yes, absolutely. Because Sacred Flame is a dexterity saving throw that ignores cover. That is huge. That can be very, very useful. So yes, there are cases for that. Toll of the Dead does more damage. If somebody's already wounded, it does a D10 or 12 instead of a D10 or something. It does more damage. And so people are going to choose it because more damage. But Toll of the Dead is a wisdom save, I believe. And it doesn't ignore cover. Probably doesn't matter or something, but if you can't see them, I don't know. There are probably trade-offs. So yeah, you could choose it. You could also just thematically choose it too. Like calling down flames from the heavens is way more interesting than Toll of the Dead, in my personal opinion. Jasper's Pearl, thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate that. I'm running a campaign involving the different religions, I believe. Last session, when I revealed a teen, the players saved was a Lovatian Accolot. I explained Loviator. I'm not pronouncing things very well. And now they don't want to use him. Should I change the god? No. Nope. Nope. No, don't change that crap. They have made an informed decision. They've rescued a teenager. I'm assuming this was going to be somebody that was going to adventure with them, maybe as an NPC or a hireling or something. And you positioned that they rescued him, and it turns out he worships Loviator, who is a evil deity. And they said, okay, well, we don't like evil deities, and we don't want you following us because you worship an evil deity, so goodbye. That's it. Goodbye. That is the solution. That NPC, that boy walks away. You have now learned something about your players, and they don't want to adventure with evil people. That's fair. And so you move on, and if you're trying to do some sort of hireling situation or a sidekick or whatever it is you were trying to accomplish, then you position somebody else that could take that role on. And you just don't have them follow somebody that's evil, but don't retcon it. That'll totally change. And it's so dumb and obvious too. It's just gonna be like meh, fall flat in my opinion, because what are you gonna do? Go back to your players and be like, you know, guys, you know how I said that Timmy worshipped Loviator? Actually, he worships Tyre instead, and he's actually a good guy. Your players are gonna be like, thanks, dude. It's too obvious. You just gotta move on and just try again. That's all you do. It's a learning thing, and it's cool too. It's good. That's amazing roleplay too. Think about it from the roleplay perspective. Think. Many players would simply be like, oh, cool. It's a bag of meat that will help, take damage from the enemies and has spells and stuff. That's all they care about. Your players have decided that for roleplay purposes, they do not want to adventure with somebody who worships an evil deity. That's pretty cool. That tells you something really good about your players. They care about those roleplay aspects of the game. That's a good thing. Don't diminish that. Don't stomp on that and retconning it and say that Timmy worships a different deity. Because you're kind of taking a really cool thing that your players just revealed to you about wanting to roleplay, and then you're just, in a way, you're diminishing that if you were to retcon it and change it at this point. So I would accept that gleefully and be like, well, that's pretty cool, and then move on and do something else. I have an error loading data. Okay, there we go. Like, what's going on there? All right. Another super chat. Allura, thank you for the $15. I appreciate that. Allura says roll for initiative. I don't have any dice. There, that sounded like a dice. I got a 1. Gauntlet X, thank you for the $20 super chat. Hey, I need advice for a worried dungeon master. Okay, so you're the worried dungeon master. All right. I feel like my games are run well. We all have laughs. I worry that there is a balance of fun versus not fun. I feel I need to keep asking them, am I overthinking? Is this common? Yeah, you're probably overthinking it. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure it's common. You're self-conscious. You're self-conscious of yourself as a dungeon master and what you're doing. And you worry and you think that, oh, maybe my players aren't having fun. Maybe they're just pretending like they're having fun. Maybe they're just telling me that they're having fun, but they're not. Maybe I'm not doing well enough. Maybe I'm not preparing myself well enough. Maybe I'm not a good enough dungeon master. Maybe my adventures suck. Maybe my monsters and my villains and stuff suck. And maybe they're going to quit on me and maybe I'm horrible. And yeah, this is not uncommon. This is having those sorts of like self-doubts and crap is pretty normal, I would think. You know, I mean, yeah, you're a central figure. You're the dungeon master. You know, it's kind of a bit of a responsibility and stuff. And you're responsible for some things and stuff. And if you could screw up and things could go poorly potentially. So yeah, you know, the stress and that pressure could create that self-consciousness. So yeah, I don't think that's uncommon. And yes, you probably are overthinking it too much. I think, and I have stated before, that dungeon masters typically put more pressure on ourselves than our players put on us. And our expectations are probably higher than our players' expectations. And we probably worry too much about it and we overthink it and we beat ourselves up when we probably shouldn't. I think players, generally speaking, just want to get together, they want to play a game, and they want to laugh with friends. I think that's what many players are looking for. If there's some cool story in there, if there's some, you know, fun little cool things you work in, you know, you do something with their backstory, or there's an amazing plot, you know, that's going on in the background and stuff, and they get to play a game, and you know, a lot of that they could just see as icing on the cake. You know, like I have a game right now with Goliath Cleric, and you want to know what my expectations are every time I go to a game with him, and like Ed and Penguin Butt and the other people that are in that game, I literally just want to hang out with them. Like, I just want to spend a few hours with them and hang out with them and laugh. Those are my expectations. That's what I care about. Like, is the adventure super creative and interesting? Like, you know, like the monsters, and I just want to roll dice. I want to kill stuff. I want to laugh with my friends. I just want to relax and have fun. Like, my expectations are not like super high, because that's not like my motivation in going to the game to like judge like, oh, are they running a really good game? Are they being, I don't really care. I'm there to hang out with people and have fun and relax, you know? And so, yeah, I don't think players' expectations are nearly as high as dungeon masters usually think they are. And we probably worry too much and overthink it. And so, yeah, we should probably just kind of relax, chill out, and be okay. If people are smiling and laughing and you're observing them and you can see, and they keep coming back to your game, then you're probably fine. The moment you have high turnover and people keep leaving, that's when you got to start thinking, what's going on here? That's a huge indicator. When people keep leaving and they don't come back, that's a huge indicator that we probably need to improve our games. But if people are laughing and having fun and they keep coming back, then you're probably doing a pretty darn good job. Where was that one? Okay, there it is. All right, I got it. Are people trying to summon Danny? Why? What are they saying? What are they saying? What are they saying to try to get Danny to come? Something about the merch or something? Yeah, box it. I totally get that. The combat mechanics can be very confusing. My recommendation to you is to just try to start playing. And you're gonna do it wrong, and you'll just kind of figure it out as you go. It can be complex and confusing for folks who are just picking it up, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Find some people to play with, play the game. If you can find somebody else who's done it before, you know, that's probably a good idea. You can join my Discord. There's always people posting for games and stuff, and you can get plugged in and just be honest with them. Just tell them, hey, I've never played before. It looks interesting. I don't know what I'm doing. If you come up front and tell people that, chances are you're going to find people are very welcoming, and they're going to explain, and they're going to help. There should be a link in my Discord. There you go. Thanks, Goliath. So yeah, I would just look for a group, play in a group, and just learn it. And don't worry about it, dude. Everybody comes to a game for the first time and doesn't know what they're doing, and it's not that big of a deal. Do you have any player classes prohibited from your games? I think not classes. No, subclasses. Yes. There's a barbarian spirit guardians or something, guardians of the spirit, that I think has got a messed up feature to it. I think that might be the only one. Yeah. But not entire classes. How do you deal with players that take away the DM's agency? For example, when they openly call you out on things for being too difficult. I think I would probably... I mean, there's the obvious response that it's none of their business, right? That it's none of their business. Like, they get to run their characters, I get to run the rest of the game. That's the clear, obvious response. However, I usually take player complaints like that seriously. I think about it. I consider it. If somebody is feeling a certain way and thinks that the game is too difficult, like, I'm not just going to blow it off and be like, whatever. I'm not. I am going to think about it and consider it. Maybe my game is too hard. Maybe I do have too many really challenging encounters and stuff, and I need to tone things back, because you do want a balance between easy stuff and hard stuff. That sort of change and variation makes for a better, more enjoyable game. So if they're calling you out on things that you're doing and it feels like they're trying to take away your agency, I would say try not to get too defensive about it. Try to approach it with an open mind and consider what they're saying and think about it and analyze it, and then take what they're saying, look at the way you're running your game, and ask yourself, can I improve? Is there some truth in what they're saying? Don't take it personally. If they're feeling frustrated and they're saying something to you, there might be some truth there. You might be able to improve your game. You might be able to make some changes that are going to be able to make your game more enjoyable for your players. Ultimately, we are there to have fun. You as the dungeon master want to have fun, but the players also want to have fun. So everybody's fun is important. So you can't just do everything your players say and maximize their fun and minimize your fun. That's not a good solution. But at the same point, you can't just ignore everything they say and only do things your way because I'm the dungeon master and that's what I say. You can't do that either, because then they're gonna feel like you just don't care if they are enjoying the game or not, or what they want to do and their thoughts and stuff on it, and you only want to do it things your way, and you're just this, you know, this tyrant who's like won't listen to reason and you know, and then that's not honoring their feelings and their thoughts and how they like the game or don't like it and stuff. So try not to take those things negatively. Don't take them personally. Try to detach your emotions as much as possible from those comments and approach it with an open mind and analysis. Now, it doesn't mean they're right. It doesn't mean that you need to change the things because they have a complaint, but it does mean that you should think about it and consider it. I routinely ask my players for feedback. I literally today sent my Ancient Dragon players our quarterly survey for feedback on our game. And I will analyze those things. I will think about the feedback that they give me. Now, I don't always follow their suggestions. we'll talk about them, and many times there will be suggestions, and I'll talk about it, and sometimes I'll just say, hey, I hear this, I recognize this, and in essence I will say I'm not going to do this, and here's why. Now other times I will implement their feedback. Now this happens to be a game they are paying for, and so it's much more important to me that they're happy and enjoying themselves. So I am far more likely to do things that they suggest just because they're paying me to run the game for them. However, that said, I'm also not going to compromise on certain core beliefs I have about running a game either. And so that's another thing that I'll also consider. So that's how I would approach that when you feel players are taking away your agency. I don't think they're trying to take away your agency. That's probably not their intentions. Their intentions are probably just giving you feedback because they're feeling a certain way about the game, and they just want you to hear that. And it's important that you hear that and listen to it and consider it. But they're not probably trying to take away your agency. They're just giving you feedback, and that is a good thing. You should be much more happy to get feedback from players so that you at least know how they're feeling, so that you can make changes, rather than have them say nothing, be upset with how you were running the game, and simply leave and go somewhere else. That is far worse. It is far better to get feedback so you have the opportunity to make the game better for everybody than for them to say nothing, be upset, and leave your game. I've had players that have left my games before, and many times, almost all the time that they've left, they don't tell me why. They just say, hey, you know, I'm done playing. And I might get some socially acceptable reason as to why they leave, but I'm always left wondering, why did they leave? Why? There is an actual reason they left, and it might not be what they told me, if they even gave me a reason. And I'm always left wondering, you know, maybe they weren't having fun, maybe I did something, or I don't know. And I would have loved to know what it was so that I can improve the game, but they never told me. They just left. And I'm just kind of stuck with that. And that's an unfortunate situation. I would much rather have somebody tell me why they're not enjoying the game and how I could improve. And then if I decide, no, I'm not going to do that, then if they leave, at least I know why, and that I had the opportunity and that I chose not to. I would sleep a whole lot better at night in that scenario. But when I don't know and they just leave and I don't have any opportunity to even consider changing or making the game better, that's when it sucks. So I think your scenario is probably far more positive than you are interpreting it. Okay, guys, one of my moderators is going to throw a link in the chat to our Kickstarter that's coming up, Layers and Legends. It's going to launch next Tuesday, April 5th, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You're going to have 2 gorgeous hardcover books with whole bunches of Dungeon Master content in it. I've been plugging it in like all my videos and stuff, so you probably already know what's in it, but adventures, there are maps for the adventures, puzzles, traps, encounters, magic items. We have a whole bunch of awesome content that's going to be in these books. So you can click that link in the chat right there and you can follow the project and get notified when it launches. It's going to be very, very cool. We do have early bird specials that will be going on. So if you are interested, you definitely want to back in the first few days because you're going to be able to save some money if you do so. So that's our cool little Kickstarter that's coming up. I'm very excited. I have the whole next week off work so that I can, like, you know, manage it and stuff. And the bonus is that next week at my day job is just full of horrible meetings that I hate going to, and so I don't have to go to those meetings either. So it's like the week is just amazing for me, launching the Kickstarter, and also I don't have to go to a bunch of horrible meetings. Who has a job full of meetings you hate going to? Yeah, you all know exactly what I'm talking about. Meetings are interruptions to work actually happening. Peter Drucker is a very famous business person and writer. He wrote many books about business and leadership and stuff like that. And Peter Drucker has a saying, it's a quote, commonly quoted probably, that basically says, either you're in a meeting or you're working. That's it. In other words, if you're in meetings, your work is not getting done. And that is so very true. I go to so many meetings in my day job and it's like nothing is happening. No work, nothing is being accomplished. They like to say, we're having conversations, we're collaborating, we're talking about these things. No. No, it doesn't work that way, does it? No. Michael DeSenville, I am a Scrum Master, dude. Michael says, my Scrum Master makes me go to all his meetings. Michael, I am literally a Scrum Master. That is my job, at what I do at my day job. And let me tell you something. I schedule as few meetings as possible. We call them ceremonies. You know Agile. They're technically called ceremonies. They don't want to call them meetings because that just sounds dirty. Let's call them ceremonies. Doesn't matter what name you put on something. It doesn't change what it is. People know what they are. But anyway, my philosophy as a Scrum Master is to schedule as few meetings as possible, to waste as little of my team's time as possible so that they can actually do work. That is my goal. I want as few meetings as possible. Get the meetings off the calendar. Get them out of here. Like, we don't need to sit here and talk about all this stuff. You know, other Scrum Masters are constantly having conversations with their team, getting together with their team, running workshops with their team, doing all these sorts of things. And I don't do any of that. And you might say, well, you're a horrible Scrum Master. Well, maybe, except that my team is considered by management, is considered by our art, because we run safe Agile framework. It's considered one of the high performing teams, literally. Like like our CEO has given a verbal shout out to our team before for how great of a team we are. So we're literally one of the better teams, you know, and we have, our velocity is amazing, our output, our throughput, we have very few defects that escape into production and crap. Like, we're just a really solid team. Team members get along with each other. We work well together. There's no drama. There's no conflicts. It's just a well-oiled machine. And we have, I am not scheduling all these team building things and having these conversations and I do none of this crap. It's like, none of it. It's just like, let's let them work. Let's let them get stuff done. And so one might say, well, you're a pretty horrible Scrum Master because you don't do your job. Well, actually, I protect my team's time. I let them get work done. What is the goal of a Scrum Master? To help your team become a high-performing team, right? That's the ultimate goal. And so if they're doing that, then what do you want to do? You want to not interrupt their work with meetings, and you want to protect them from outside influences. And if they have an impediment, you find resources and help for them. That's it. It's as simple as that. So some would say that I do jack diddly squat for my day job, and they might be right, but my team is very successful. So there. There you go. There's my rant for you. You know, so Jesse says that they do Kanban. The reason I like Scrum, I like the fact, the thing I like about sprints is having that sprint goal of having the date that you should have something done by, because there is another concept in productivity. It's also a business concept as well. But there's a concept that work expands to fill the allotted time. It's just it's a meta high level concept, and it's true. In other words, if you have 30 days to get a report done, because that's the due date, guess what? It will take you 30 days to get that report done, and you'll spend however many hours to get that done. If you have 2 days to get that report done, guess how long it will take you to get that report done? 2 days. And you will be far more efficient and effective in getting that report done. You will cut out all of the chafe, all the stuff you don't really need, and you will get right to it. You'll probably be succinct in what you write, and the report will get done in 2 days, and you'll spend far less time on it. And the report will probably have 20% of the effort that delivers 80% of the results, instead of having, 50 to 80% of the effort that delivers 85% of the results. And so the concept of work expanding to fit the allotted time is super, super true. And so the thing I like about Scrum is because you have that time box of 2 weeks usually for your sprint, that pushes the team to hit that commitment so that they don't just keep dragging things out. They're trying to get their commitments done by the end of the sprint. And we don't want unhealthy, overworking and putting too many hours in and stuff. And so that's why you plan and you only commit to things you think you can get done. You want reasonable work time, right? But that's the reason I like Scrum, because of that commitment and because of that meta business and productivity concept of work expanding to fit the allotted amount of time. Due dates and deadlines are key. Even if it's not a hard date, even if it's a soft date, even if it doesn't have to be done by then, that deadline will help you get more done and be more productive. And ultimately, when we are more productive, we feel better about ourselves because we're getting stuff done. So has nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons, folks, but there you go. All right. Krister says, I'm a Scrum Master too. Do you work from home? Our company has decided that we're going to have a hybrid work model. We work from home 2 days a week, and we go to the office for 3 days a week. Don't ask me why. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. We have no clue why we have to go to the office. Management has given us reasons that are unsatisfactory and don't make a whole lot of sense. They talk about collaboration and culture. Well, guess what? We don't really care about culture. Your workforce doesn't care about culture. You know what they care about? Not having to drive to work. Getting 2 to 3 hours a day back in their lives that they can do stuff they actually like doing and not going to work. We don't care about culture. We don't care about that stuff. Collaboration. Dude, we've been working remotely for 1.5 years or 2 years. We can get crap done. So yeah, we have a hybrid work environment. Most people don't like it. They would have. We're software developers. We're knowledge workers, dude. Like, we don't need to go to the office to get crap done. We've been doing it for a while. It's pretty good. And yet we have to go back to the office. And so everybody on my team thinks it's pretty stupid. Most 95% of people think it's pretty stupid and don't like it. Attrition is crazy high right now as people are leaving. And most of the people that are leaving, I'm guarantee you, are getting 100% work remote situations with new employers and stuff. And yet, but yeah, management, just come back to the office, folks, because I don't know why. Probably because they have bought property and commercial property values are going to tank if people allow people to work from home or something. It could be micromanaging. It could be because they want to keep an eye on you and make sure you're actually doing your job. Whatever that means. It's all stupid. It's all stupid if you ask me. We should probably talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Do you keep meticulous track of the enemy's hit points, or do you just let combat go on until it feels done? No! Don't do that! That is dumb. You don't just arbitrarily let combat go on and on until you feel like, well, it feels like it should be done, so we'll have them die. No. We are running a game. It is a game. There needs to be hard things that are coded in. You don't just have flexible hit points where an enemy like, well, they're dying too quickly, so let's give them more hit points. Or wow, it's taking a long time to kill that dragon and everybody's gonna die, so let's just give them fewer hit points. No, we're running a game. You can't deny the fact that it's a game as well. And your players will see through it and they'll know, and they'll feel probably unsatisfied, and they'll know that you're manipulating things. No, you don't want to just give them an arbitrary amount of hit points and then call it a day when you feel like you should call it a day. No, don't deny the fact that it's a game. So no, I wouldn't do that. Keep track of their hit points. All right. I have a friend that has a hobby shop and wants me to run Adventurers League. Any tips on how to make my games awesome, specifically for irregular players in that format? No, you're kind of stuck, dude. Well, let me tell you how this works. I went to Adventurers League a couple of times, and many times what I saw happening was dungeon masters were literally being handed the adventure that they were going to run like a half an hour before they had to run it. And so they had to go take the adventure and try to prep it and get ready for it and then run it. And they had never run it before and stuff. And I'm like, well, that's not a recipe for a very strong game in my opinion, but you know, pressure, not cool. Not, I have prepped games in a half an hour before, but not under crazy pressure with people waiting and looking at me. I wouldn't do that. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's different in your case. The thing with Adventurers League, it's not, I don't want to knock it too much because I think it is a good thing for people who can't find normal groups and regular groups. For people that don't have a friend group or something and they just literally want to be able to show up somewhere and play D&D. I think it's a great thing. So I don't really want to knock it a whole lot. I think it has its place and it has its value for sure. But you ultimately, at the end of the day, you have a group of players that may or may not have played together before, and Adventurers League puts so many constraints upon you. You have to play things raw. You can't make rulings on. You're just confined so much by things, you know. And you may or may not be able to plan your adventure very well in advance. And you can't do homebrew adventures. You must use approved adventures from Adventurers League. I mean, there are reasons for this. So I don't know that I have the biggest suggestion I could have for you is to try to get the adventures you're going to run in advance so you can actually plan and prepare for them. If you can do that, that is going to give you the highest probability of being able to run a fun game. But there are so many variables with, you know, different players and irregular players and new players and stuff, and different characters they're going to bring every single time, and the constraints that you have because you have to run it a certain way, that you're just limited so many ways that you're going to find it probably frustrating and challenging, you know. I don't really think I have a whole lot more to say about that. Bye, Wendy. Thanks for hanging out with us. Ooh, Heather Burke. Hello, how you doing? Heather says, you murdered that poor grandma selling cookies. You went from chaotic neutral to chaotic evil. I didn't murder the grandma, Heather. It was not a grandma. I don't think she was. You're sure she wasn't a grandma. And I can't ask her now. Crap. All right, I want to make sure I got all my super chats. I think I got that one. I think I got that one. I think I got that one. Okay, I'm caught up on super chats. James Payne, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Captain B Good says, what do you enjoy more, DMing for very new players or well-experienced players, and why? I like both. I love introducing new players to the game.
I love seeing that fresh excitement and enjoyment on new players who are really getting into it and they're discovering something amazing and awesome that they never knew existed. And they have new and fresh ideas and ways of approaching things. But then, of course, you have to explain rules to them and stuff, and it can be slow and hard. And then when they level up and create characters and stuff, so there are drawbacks, obviously. And then you veteran players have all of their advantages, right? They kind of know how to play the game and stuff like that, and they could be amazing. And yeah, I don't know that I have a preference. I love both new players and veteran players for various reasons. I will say that if I am running a group that has new players in it, I so appreciate if there are also veteran players, because when there are some new players and some veteran players, those veteran players will help the new players learn the game and do things. And it's not all on me to teach and run the game for like 4 or 5 brand new players. And so that is a super big blessing when you can have a mix of the two. And that is a really cool place to be. Oh man. My player dipped into Warlock as a surprise. Of course, everybody dips Warlock. Are you kidding me? It's the most dippable class. Everyone splashes Warlock for reasons. So would it be petty to surprise him with an unexpected patron? No, he chooses his patron. Like, that's literally part of his character creation, is he gets to choose who his patron is. So yes, it would not be good to choose his patron for him. That I would consider that to be taking away his agency in creating his character, and I would not do it. Cecile says, how to deal with objectively stupid things players do. So, Cecile, are you talking about me? Like, you must know how I play as a player. Like, I feel attacked. Like trying to murder people on the street or stealing stuff in plain sight. You just play it out. You play it out logically. Like, what would happen in the real world if you did these things? Because in our game, we're essentially running a simulation. We're trying to role play people and the world. So if you murdered somebody in the street in plain sight, literally what would happen if it were the real world? People would see you, they'd report you to the police. The police would come looking for you. They'd try to arrest you, right? You run from that town. Okay, cool. Word gets out that you're an outlaw, you know, and then they travels to different towns and you're wanted and you have to hide and you have a price on your head. People are looking for you. You know, I mean, like, just play it out logically. So I don't stop my players from doing stupid things. I just use my brain and think about, okay, what would happen in the world then? And we play things out logically. I had one of my I was a player. I am a player in a game. And I leapt into a library and I breathed fire all over the place. And I set the library on fire. It was in a manor. And I burned down at least that library and ruined a whole bunch of books. And many of these books, by the way, the manor belonged to a wizard. So many of those books were spell books that had spells in them that my party would have found very valuable. And I burned them all down because I was trying to have a cool moment where I was like setting stuff on fire. And I screwed my party over quite a bit by doing that. Not intentionally. I didn't know that they were spell books. I wasn't, intentionally trying to screw them over, but I did. And now they chide me for it constantly. But those are the consequences of doing something stupid, and you have to live by those, and I accept that. And my party is probably not gonna complain if Barbaric dies. Wolf Round, what's up, dude? Good to see you, buddy. Thank you, I appreciate that, dude. Thanks for coming by, man. Drake, you walk into a D&D tavern, what do you see? I see a smoking, steaming pasty, freshly baked out of the oven with ketchup. That's what I see in my tavern of my dreams. It's the most amazing thing in the world. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take a quick moment here to tell you about my upcoming Kickstarter, Layers and Legends. You're all like, yeah, Luke, we know that's all you talk about. Well, guess what? For the next month, that's going to be all I talk about. So there's going to be a link in the chat where you can follow Layers and Legends. It's going to launch on Tuesday next week. It's going to give you 2 hardcover books full of Dungeon Master resources, adventures for 5th edition with maps, obviously, monsters, magic items, puzzles, traps, NPCs, villains, standalone encounters. We're going to have a map pack with digital maps that you can use for online play, if that's what you do. It's going to be very, very cool. You can click that link and follow the project, and you'll get notified when it goes live. And if you want to back it, I strongly recommend that you get in on the early bird specials. We have 2 of the tiers that are going to be available for just a few days, where you can save money off from all the other tiers. Well, off from some of the tiers or whatever, but you can save money if you do the early bird specials. So definitely pledge in the first few days if you want to get those resources. And now I'm going to play a sleazy video about Layers and Legends, and we're also going to do a cat strike where I give my cats catnip, and it's going to be very, very amazing. Squeaky does really crazy stuff when we give him catnip. So here's the video.
This content is brought to you by the Layers and Legends Kickstarter, coming in early 2022.
Are you a dungeon master looking to reduce your prep time but still run awesome games for your players? Would you like professional pre-made 5th edition adventures, maps, traps, puzzles, magic items, and other resources you can drag and drop into your existing campaign? The Layers and Legends Kickstarter will create 2 gorgeous hardcover books for dungeon masters containing all of this and more. The first book, Layers and Legends, will deliver 25 5th edition compatible adventures spanning levels 1 to 15 and over 100 new terrifying monsters to pit against your players. The second book, Loot and Lore, will deliver 50 magic items, 25 puzzles, 40 traps, 10 factions, 30 standalone encounters with maps, 30 villains, 30 NPCs, 70 random tables, 30 adventure ideas, 20 spells, and 4 subclasses. And through the beauty of Kickstarter and stretch goals, we'll be able to commission beautiful artwork for both books and add even more content. Furthermore, in addition to the hardcovers, you can also get both books in PDF format and a digital map pack containing all the maps from both books. And if you'd like to pick up a hardcover copy of our last Kickstarter, Into the Fae, it will be available as an add-on to Layers and Legends. Click the link below to join the Layers and Legends email list and get notified when it goes live in early 2022. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do a cat. What do we call this? The cat trip. We're doing a cat trip now. We're gonna give this to Squeaky, and we're gonna see him do some really stupid stuff. We have assembled here the happy carrot and whatever this was before the cats destroyed it. We're gonna put a bunch of catnip on these, and we're gonna watch Squeaky roll around on the ground. Cause yes, Squeaky, I know. I know. Get them all hopped up. I can't find the banana. I have no idea where the banana is. I'm gonna have to buy a new one. All right, I'm gonna go get some more tea and stuff. I'll be right back. Take it. Watch Squeaky. Chloe, what are you doing? Doggy, doggy. Doggy, doggy, doggy. What are you doing? Cat food. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Did you get some food? Yeah? Yeah? Go to your bed. Go to your bed.
All right. I think my dog has to go outside, so we're gonna have to take the dog outside. It's gonna be a little bit longer. Sorry.
Go outside? Go outside? Yeah? Go outside? Come on, let's go. Go outside. Let's go. Chloe. Chloe. Go to your bed. There we go. All right. I gotta give her a treat really quick. Did you go potty? Did you go potty? Oh, baby. Okay, there we go. You let the dogs out. That's a good one. Okay. Let's keep going, huh? Treat before and after. Oh yeah, totally, because the dog went over there and ate the cat treats. Yeah. I think I got those. All right, here we go. Yeah, that was great. Last Red asks, for DMs that are trying to get into pay to play games, how do you get people to start joining? Oh my gosh. I mean, you have to just start advertising a play to pay game. That's what you have to do. You have to put it up as pay to play and hope people join it. I don't know how you would do that. I do have experience with pay to play games. I'm running one right now, but my experience with it is rather unique because, you know, I have a YouTube channel and stuff, and I can just say, hey guys, I'm running a game and you have to pay to be in it, and people will sign up for it because of my YouTube channel and stuff, you know. So my situation is unique. I don't know what the path is for someone who wants to get into it that, you know, isn't in my situation, which is fairly unique. You know, you have to solicit, perhaps. You might go to, I mean, here's the thing too. Soliciting to players may give you mixed results, but consider this. Many companies have like employee benefit programs and stuff, and they want to do things for their employees. And if you go to a company, for instance, and say, hey, you know, I have an idea for, I don't know how you would do this, I don't even know who you would talk to, but if you were to go to a company theoretically and just say, hey, you know, I run Dungeons and Dragons games,
And one of the things that I do is I run paid games, and I could come in once a week or twice a month or something and run D&D games for your employees. And, you know, this could be something that you offer to them as an employee benefit for them to have fun, do team building and stuff like that, that they would view as a perk of their employment. It's something that I could do, you know, and they'd be like, oh, cool. How much does it cost? And you say, well, it's $500 a game. That is nothing for a company to pay. You know, $500, especially if you're talking about a bigger company, $500 for you to come in, like, you know, a couple times a month to run a game, that's like chump change. So that is totally within the realm of possibility. Now, you would have to go to companies and solicit that. You'd have to try to talk to somebody, you know, and get that idea across. You'd have to have a pitch, you know, and you might want to talk intelligently about the benefits that it would offer to the employees and why the company might want to use your services or something. You know, otherwise, you're going to be posting like on Roll20's place that it's a paid game and just hope that people sign up for it, you know? So I don't know exactly what your happy path is, but I can tell you that if you can get into running D&D for companies, there's a much higher chance of you actually making money, a good amount of money doing it. Because, you know, if you're doing a pay to play game and you're charging the players like $20 a game, that's nothing, dude. So you make like $100 for 4 hours. That's not a whole lot, you know. If you know, now if you can charge them $100 for a 4-hour game each, and you're making $500 a game, that now you're starting to look pretty good. When you consider your prep time and actually getting there and running the game, now you're starting to make some money. But how many players are going to pay $100 for one game session? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. And you would have to be spectacular for them to keep coming back. You'd have to wow the crap out of them. But a company to pay you $500 for a game, that is not outside the realm of possibility. It is not.
All right. What are your thoughts on D&D's obsession with frog monsters? I don't know. Somebody who works there likes frogs. That's all I can say. I mean, I wasn't aware of their obsession with frog monsters, but if that's the case, then somebody there just likes frogs. And what else are you going to say? Yeah, Luffy, that's a good idea. If you're running a paid campaign, offer the first session for free so they can see how good the game is, and then you have them pay for it. You know, I know that I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. It's not that unreasonable for people to want to pay to have a good game. It's not. It's really not. Because all of us have been in bad D&D games. All of us know how crappy D&D can be. But for me to be able to go to a game that lasts 4 hours and have a really good game experience and have fun, like, I would be willing to pay for that. Like, I pay to be entertained all the time. I pay for Netflix. We have internet, which has entertainment on it. You know, we have like other things that have entertainment. You know, we go on vacations to be entertained. My wife and I go to the movies to be entertained. Like, we pay for entertainment stuff all the time. D&D is entertainment. People have shown that they're willing to pay for entertainment. So it's not unreasonable for people to want to pay to have a D&D game that is good, that they can count on and just go to, and not have to deal with like the problem that can happen in other D&D games that are just crappy or not paid, and dungeon masters fizzle out and just are crap or whatever, you know what I mean? So, and here's the thing too, a lot of people that play D&D make decent money. Not everybody, obviously, but like, I work in a software development shop, and a lot of those people play D&D, you know, or Pathfinder or something like that, and they make money. you know, so it's not outside the realm of possibility, you know, and people are willing to pay for that stuff a lot of times. And so it's not bleak for sure. It's just, it's a marketing problem and getting it started, getting it rolling, you know. Yeah, dude, that's totally true. Like, my wife and I went to the movies a few days ago or something, and I think it was about $40, and the movie lasted 2 hours, you know, and so that's $20 each for 2 hours of entertainment. So if I go to a D&D game and pay $20 and I'm entertained for 4 hours, that's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal. Should previous session recaps be done by players or by the dungeon master? You know, there are different theories on that. Some people want the players to do the recaps. Some people think the dungeon master should do the recaps. I think it comes down to preference, perhaps, in some situations. I personally prefer my players to do the recaps. In part, I sometimes don't know everything that I've told them about certain things. And so I don't want to inadvertently give them information in my recap that they don't already know. Now, I know what happened in the last game session because I took notes. I know absolutely what's going on. Sometimes they'll not remember everything perfectly, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes their recaps won't be super accurate, and I'm okay with that. I'll just let them do their recap and then we play. Now, if they forget very important information, I might share that just to make sure. Or if something is totally wrong, I will correct them on something if I feel that it's very important to gameplay to do so. But usually, almost always, I let my players do the recap and then we move on and we play. And I correct them as needed. That's how I do it. I think it works really well. That said, I don't think it's that big of a deal whether you do it or your players do it. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. Maybe one might argue it's more engaging for your players to do it or something, but the recap shouldn't take long. It should take a minute and you're done. It shouldn't take too long. If it takes longer than that, you're probably going into too many details. A recap, not like a recounting of everything that happened. What do you do when the players get upset when they die? Well, you know, that's interesting. Sometimes players get upset when they die because they feel that it was unfair for X reason. Other times, players get upset when they die because their precious character died. I have zero sympathy in my heart for players who get upset because my precious character died. If that's their only reason for being upset, that their character died, and they just can't handle their character dying, lack of maturity or whatever you want to call it, or whatever, and they don't recognize that it's a game and that death happens because you're fighting in combat with monsters and you have weapons and you're throwing fireball around, death will happen. So players who get upset that their character died and it's just because their character died and they're upset about it and that's the reason, and I have zero mercy in my heart, zero sympathy, empathy, nothing for them. Like, this is a game, it happens. You need to learn to live with that. It's part of what can happen in the game. Grow up and stop getting too attached to your precious character. So that sort of player, I don't care. That's, you know what? If you have that big of a problem over characters dying, then you probably don't want to play in my games because my games are known for being challenging at times and for characters dying from time to time. So you probably don't want to play in my games. You should probably find a different game because I'm not going to deal with you getting all upset every 10 seconds. People don't die that often, but you get my point. Now, the other case is the player who feels their death was unfair. because that's a different thing. It's a very different thing. For instance, recently in my Curse of Strahd game, this is probably a couple months ago, one of the character's PCs got hit by Finger of Death, and Finger of Death reduced him to 0 hit points. It killed him. I think it was Finger of Death. It killed him, or it reduced him to 0 hit points, but it doesn't actually say that it explicitly kills him. But I was kind of thinking in my mind, no, that should kill him. But then the character started reading the spell description and we had a conversation. The group was talking. It's like, well, it says that it reduces you to 0 hit points, but doesn't actually say that it kills you. And my point was, well, it's called Finger of Death. Like if you go to 0 hit points, you should die. Like that's how it should work. But it doesn't say that, in the spell description. So the player was upset that, he shouldn't have died because that's not what the spell actually does, and I was ruling it that way. And so there was a disagreement there about whether that was fair or not. And ultimately what we decided was that, if I want to have Finger of Death work such that if you're reduced to 0 hit points, you die, I should establish that rule beforehand. I shouldn't establish it on the fly during gameplay because that kind of is unfair. And so what we did is we did retcon that, and we rolled it back and said that he wasn't killed, he was just reduced to 0 hit points out of fairness' sake. And so he was legitimately upset. Like he was essentially saying that he was going to leave the game, and just go home if his character was dead. And that did piss me off. I did not take well to that. Those sorts of threats and stuff, that does not sit well with me. And that really made me want to dig my heels in and say your character is dead, because I do not at all take well when players are like, well, if you don't do things my way, I'm going to leave the game and go home. That pisses me off. And so I was very not happy about that sort of threat, of leaving if his character was dead. So I didn't like that. But through logical analysis of his side of things and where his perspective was, I could understand why he was feeling that way and the way I was ruling things. And so we did roll it back, even though I wasn't happy to do so. Now, if instead of his having that sort of negative attitude and threatening to leave, he had been a little bit more calm and just said, hey, this is kind of how I'm seeing things, then I think emotions probably would have gotten less involved in it, and we could have probably had a better resolution to it, But that is an instance of the death being perceived as unfair by the player, and for good reason, in all honesty. The cat trying to get into the box. Oh, that's little girl. Little girl's going into the box. So I think that's a different situation. If a player's getting upset because they think it's unfair, I think that you should think about it and consider it, like we did in that moment. And we talked about it and we discussed it. And we came to an agreement, and our agreement was what I just told you. And that's a little different. And I handled those situations a little bit differently. Now, I don't tend to have players who get upset when their characters die. Most of my players, I think, all understand that it's a game and death can happen. Now, if they do get upset, it's usually because they feel it's unfair. And then we have a conversation, we talk about it, and we figure out what's going on, Peta says, I get aggressive to threats like that. Oh, I get so pissed off and aggressive. Anytime it happens, a player, when they threaten to leave the game if I don't do something, I do not like that. Like that is manipulation, dude. Threatening to do this thing because I won't do the thing that you want, like, ooh, that really pushes me, that's my button right there. That's a way to get Luke pissed off at you, And the player's justification and rationale was, if I'm dead, then I'm going to have to just sit here for the rest of the game session and do nothing. Therefore, I should just leave. And I wanted to just... Afterwards, I was thinking about that statement. It didn't occur to me in the moment, but afterwards, I was analyzing the conversation. And it occurred to me that that's not even true. Because literally, if he had actually died, the cleric has Revivify and would have just risen him from the dead. So that objection was totally not even true. He would have just been raised from the dead on the next round of combat, literally, and he would have been back in the game. And so that whole objection was just like, I don't know. But anyway, emotions were getting involved in it too, you know. So anyway, but we resolved it. But yeah, I don't like the threats of I'm going to leave the game if you do this, what, that, and the other. Like, that does not make me happy. It makes me very inclined to not do the thing you want. I'll tell you what, man. That you tell me that, and the chances of me doing what you want goes plummets. Like, the moment you threaten me with leaving, like, the chances of me actually doing the thing you want nosedives right off the cliff. And you're almost guaranteed not to get it at that point. Almost guaranteed, you know. But I am capable of rational judgment from time to time, and I put aside my emotions from time to time. So sometimes you get lucky, but yeah, usually it's not good. Do you think it's okay for the dungeon master to implement their own political beliefs into the game if everyone has different beliefs? Depends on how you're doing it. It is one thing to set up your game world to have political stuff going on in the context of the game world. That's a totally different thing. But if you start to somehow impose your political beliefs on the game in a way, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but in my mind, there is a definite right way and wrong way to go about doing it. So I totally set up my games where there's political stuff going on. You know, right now in the Dark Shards, a realm of dread, there's slavery going on, you know, and there's political tension, and there's different things going on. You know, it's not because I believe in slavery. It's not because of that. It's because that's what's going on in the world. Bad things are happening and the heroes should stop them. You know, so I'm not like putting my political beliefs in there. I'm setting up political scenarios in the game world. That's totally different than if I'm imposing my political beliefs on the game, you know, in ways that other people disagree with and feel uncomfortable and stuff with. So there is an okay way to do it that works well because you're literally replicating a world and you're trying to make it feel like a real living, breathing world. And then there's a way of doing it that is not good and that is going to make people not like it. So I don't know exactly how to describe and explain that distinction, but I know that it exists. So be careful. What are your thoughts on handpicking monsters or creatures that counter your PCs? I don't outright have a problem with it, but I would caution you to not do it too frequently. Do it sparingly. From time to time, it presents an interesting challenge to be overcome. Done too frequently, it feels to the player like you're intentionally nerfing their character. It's like if you have a cleric and there are never any undead in the entire game because you know they're just going to turn undead, or you homebrew your undead so that they can't be turned. You know, then you're going to have the cleric who's like, you're just nerfing my abilities, dude. That's not cool. But what if there is an undead that cannot be turned? He is immune to being turned, and his minions, when they're within 30 feet of him, have advantage on their saving throws against being turned. Now, that's not nerfing that cleric. That is presenting an interesting challenge that might be overcome somehow. You have to lure the minions away from the undead monster, their leader, so that you can turn them, right? So that's a different thing than having everything be resistant or immune to turning undead. So I caution doing it sparingly, But when done properly, it just presents an interesting puzzle and challenge to be overcome by your players. Oh, we got a super chat. Okay, look. Oh, I got a couple okay, I have 3 super chats. I'm sorry, I'm getting into them right now. All right, before I hit the super chats though, I do want to just tell you really quick about Layers and Legends. It is our Kickstarter that is going to be launching this next Tuesday. There's a link in the chat. One of my lovely moderators will throw that down there. We're going to have 2 hardcover books that are going to be full of Dungeon Master resources, adventures, monsters, magic items, puzzles, traps, lots of cool stuff that you can drag and drop into your D&D games, all 5th edition compatible, obviously. So click that link right there. We will have early bird specials, so if you back within the first few days, you will get discounts and save some money. So check that stuff out. It's very, very cool. Of course it's cool. I have to say it's cool because it's my Kickstarter. It's like, you know, I can't say it sucks. I mean, it might suck. It probably doesn't suck. Let's hope it doesn't suck. Squeaky came back. He's finding the catnip now. All right, so super chats. James, thank you for the $15 super chat. I appreciate that. I have my own world I run. I don't allow all the 5e races they keep putting out. Am I being too mean? No. It is 100% within your prerogative to not allow certain races that come out, and I really think we should call them species because that's what they are. And people would get less bent out of shape about certain things too if we called them species instead of races, because that's literally what they are. They're different species. But I think it's within your prerogative and your right to not allow them. What I would caution you though is players like playing new stuff and novel things because it's just something new and interesting for them. And so when you don't allow them, you are limiting the scope of what they're able to do. And they might be super excited to play a certain race and then it's not allowed. And so they could be put off by that and a little down by it. So it's not to say you should allow it, right? I think it's something for you to consider, you know. I would rather allow something and ask the player to explain and justify how. Okay, let's pretend there are no Dragonborn in my world, but they want to play a Dragonborn. Okay, you're allowed to play a Dragonborn, but you need to explain how your Dragonborn came to exist, because in my world, there are no Dragonborn. I would rather do something like that and have them be a unique instance of a Dragonborn, and then the player explains how it came to happen, rather than say no. But that's my personal preference on it. You are within your right to not allow it though. All right, that's enough, Squeaky. Like, I'm gonna roll around. I'm gonna roll around on the ground. All right. Vincent asks, you probably answered this question a million times already, but any advice on finding a D&D group to play with that wouldn't mind a new player? Yeah. I think you can check out online forums and stuff for postings and that sort of thing. I will definitely recommend my Discord server. There's a link in the chat. One of my lovely moderators will throw a link to my Discord. If you go over there, we do have a looking for group channel where you can post that you're looking for a game. Lots of dungeon masters will post over there as well. So post up there and just tell them that, hey, you're a new player, you're excited, you want to get into a game. Is anybody running a game you can get into? And you're probably going to find a group. Hopefully, I think a lot of people find groups over there. And so that would be my recommendation. And the thing is that most of the people on my Discord are fairly friendly, welcoming, and cool people. And the ones that aren't usually get kicked out and stuff, or behave themselves at the very least. And so you're probably going to find a welcoming and friendly group, would be my hope. We have a pretty cool community over there. Whereas if you go somewhere like Reddit, there's a Reddit, the subreddit LFG. You're not, I mean, it's Reddit, you know, you're rolling your dice there, right? Crap, I have more super chats. I mean, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just like, I keep forgetting and then I get behind. The Oni Rise says, and thank you for your $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Hey, Luke, my monsters take cover, but I will skip their turns to reload or have their hit points be the lowest possible. My players want easy mode still. Your players can want whatever they want. It doesn't mean you have to give them that. You need to have fun too. Don't neglect your own fun. So I would, if I had players that always wanted easy mode, I would probably literally just have a conversation and say, hey guys, I understand that you guys want a pretty easy game experience, but I'm going to tell you that that's not what I enjoy playing all the time. And so what I'd like to do as a group is just agree that I am going to do both. I'm going to have easy stuff and I'm going to have more challenging stuff, because I as a dungeon master want to enjoy the game as well. And so I want to have things that are more challenging, because it's just something it's how I like to run my games. I enjoy doing that. And so if I'm not enjoying the game and I'm not having fun, then let's just take a guess at how long this game is going to last if I stop having fun. But at the same time, I want you guys to have fun as well. And so I want to run a game that balances among everybody's fun so we can all have fun. And so we need to agree that that's what we're going to do. And the idea is you hopefully have a conversation where you just lay everything on the table and just talk openly about it. And then hopefully you can just agree that, and your players say, yes, okay, cool. A balance between easy stuff and challenging stuff. We can do that. Hopefully that's what you come to. In the case where they're just like, no, screw that, we don't want to do that, then you might have to just say, then I'm probably not a good dungeon master for you. You probably should find a different dungeon master, because I don't want to run that easy game. That's not what I want to do. So I am going to, what do you call it? Resign as your dungeon master. And you guys, one of you could be the dungeon master, or you could find a different one. That's fine. I'm going to go find players who are more aligned with my play style. And then everybody can be happy. So if that's a game breaker for you, then you might have to do that. That's obviously worst case scenario, but you could do that as well. Don't feel like you have to run that easy game if they don't want to have any challenges. You can walk away. There is nothing. And let me tell you, as the dungeon master, you hold all the power, because there are lots of players who want to be in D&D games. There aren't nearly as many dungeon masters to accommodate all of those players. So the dungeon master always has the power. You can always leave the group and find new players, and it's usually not too hard. They're like climbing out of the walls and stuff. They just want to get into a D&D game and they can't find a dungeon master. You are in demand. So you kind of hold all the power. Now I don't abuse that, and manipulate, and you can go bad places with that, but just be aware that you have options. Players often don't have as many options as far as finding good dungeon masters go. So that's something to be aware of as well. All right, I think I had another Kickstarter question. Does Layers and Legends work on Roll20? So we are not going to have a Roll20 add-on, if that's what you're asking. Like, all of the stuff, you can import it and it's going to be designed for Roll20. We are not at the point where we can do that. We are right now working on developing that expertise in-house to be able to offer that in the future, potentially. But we're not at the point where we're going to be able to offer Layers and Legends for Roll20. We're not there. Now, what we will have, all of the maps are going to be available as digital maps. And so you're going to be able to easily put that map into Roll20 or other virtual tabletops. All of the maps will have gridded and ungridded forms. They will all be low resolution and high resolution, so that, it makes importing into Roll20 easier. And all the maps will come with a digital Dungeon Master version of the map too, with all of the different stuff on it. So we are doing our very best to make it as easy as possible for you to import the things on your own and get them set up. But as far as having it ready to go where you can just know that we don't have that available, that is not in the current offering. All right, keep going here. Where is that? Oh, Dylan, thank you for the $20 tip. I appreciate that. Oh, we're trying to raise money for Bikers Against Child Abuse, BACA, and we're about halfway there. So thank you for that tip, dude. I appreciate that. All tips go toward that charity, by the way. And there should be a link in the chat if you want to tip. And Dylan said, or it might be Dylan. Maybe I'm saying your name wrong. This is a great cause. I love this group. Also, just wanted to say thank you for the time, energy, and inspiration. You are one of the 5 channels that have added to the inspiration to launch my own channel soon. Thank you and keep up the good work. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. And good luck with your channel, dude. It's a ride, man. And you know, the thing too is that some channels take off a lot faster than others, and others take a whole lot longer. Like my channel was very slow to grow. Like the growth was slow. Other channels go a lot faster and things just go, it just depends on what you're doing, you know. But good luck with that, dude. It can be tons of fun, but it's also lots of work. Be prepared for the work. Be prepared for the work, dude. Where was the other? I had another super chat. The Oni Rai, thank you for the $5 super chat. You are very, very welcome. Thank you. You super chatted your question and you super chatted a thank you. Very cool. Thank you. And then there's another super chat. I got that one. Robert Bonsley, thank you for the $10 super chat. What are your thoughts on the wheelchair player character debate in the D&D community? If you aren't familiar, people think it's ableist to not make your campaigns wheelchair accessible. So my thought is this: I, as a dungeon master, am going to role play my enemies, and I'm going to role play the world. So if I am running a medieval world with medieval technology and medieval ways of thinking, then that's the world. And I hate to break it to you, but you know, 500 years ago or whatever medieval times, like that was not a consideration people took. Like they made just normal stairs and things like that. Like that's just the way it was. This is a recent development where we now make things, you know, accessible and stuff like that. And so to say that if you're running a medieval world and you're not making it wheelchair accessible is negative or ableist or whatever that term was, I think that's just picking a battle somewhere to promote your own political cause or social cause. And I don't think that that is very fair, in my opinion. Just because I have a dungeon with stairs in it, you're saying that I'm somehow discriminating, or you're going to give me a label and you're going to label me as something negative because I have a dungeon with stairs in it? No, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I can have dungeons with stairs in them, and that doesn't mean anything negative about my game or my campaign. And if I'm running a villain who knows that one of the characters uses a wheelchair or something, then and I intentionally build my dungeon in a way that will prevent you from accessing it, well, that's smart game design. That's a smart thing for the villain to do. The villain wants to win, right? And so I'm intentionally going to put stairs and pits and rough terrain that's going to impede you. Like, I'm trying to stop you, right? Well, that's how I build the dungeon. If I'm the villain and I know that, you know, a character uses a certain method of getting around, you know, if I'm a beholder and I can fly, guess what? I have hazards all over the floor because the characters have to walk and I can fly. Like, this is just how enemies think and how they prepare their dungeons and stuff. And so I think this is a way for people to
try to promote their political or social causes into the game world and make other people feel bad about themselves, you know, and they put labels on it and stuff that is not fair, you know. And I mean, it's the standard thing, you know, to win a debate, you just label somebody. You label them. If you can label them as a racist or an ableist, that's the new term, I guess, you know, then anything they do is evil and you've won because you have labeled them, you know, and that's just, it's not logical and it's not fair and it's pretty ridiculous in my opinion. So if you want to have all of your dungeons be wheelchair accessible, that's within your right and your prerogative as a dungeon master. You're welcome to do that. And if you don't do that, then nobody should hold that against you. And if they do, I would say that's pretty ridiculous and I would ignore them. And I would just run your game the way you want to run your game. So I try to avoid these sorts of political and social things as much as possible in my games and in what I do, because you can't win. People are just going to be upset and they're just trying to push their particular causes that they believe in and stuff like that, you know. So I try to avoid those things as much as possible, and people get upset about these things and they just go crazy about them, you know, and I think they need to calm down and just relax, you know. So I don't know. Eric says Luke is much more polite on this subject than I would be. Yeah. I want to see what people in chat are saying. Are things getting spicy? Ramps in a dungeon are a death trap anyway. Great place to put a trap. Oh yeah. Are you kidding me? Some grease and some fire? Woo! And some spikes at the bottom? Ramps are a perfect place for a trap. That's a really good point. Yeah. Kevin says, good for you, Luke. It's a medieval world. Most PCs then were not in wheelchairs. No, did they invent them back then? Did they even exist back then? No, those things didn't exist back then. I mean, they might have, I don't know. Can we please talk about this medieval thing? Yeah. The fact that our games take place in a medieval time before most of these inventions have taken place. And with people that had different sensibilities and thought a different way. You know, like we're trying to impose like our 21st century sensibilities on a different time period, you know. There's something that just doesn't always work about that, you know. Wolfround says, like my mother is disabled. If she were to play D&D, there's no way she would ever want to play a disabled character. Yeah, dude, my father didn't have his left arm. My father literally had his left arm amputated. He got it caught in a corn picker. He was on a farm working. I think he was about 18, 19 or something, and his arm got mangled. They amputated it, and it was like right here. We called it his stubby, you know. And that was my dad. We grew up knowing him that way, you know. And yeah, I think he probably would if he were playing D&D, he would have a character with two arms and he would just play. Yeah, that's what he would do. Yeah. So it's interesting how, yeah, it's interesting the way things are going, you know, and what, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say a whole lot on it because people are going to get all upset about it. Like you can't, these are the types of things you can't actually have a rational conversation about and talk about because people get so upset about them and they get so worked up and out of shape about them, you know, and they just start yelling and screaming at each other and you can't even talk sensibly about it, you know, and they want to like yell and scream and have fits and they want to cancel you. They just, you know, people are not rational about some things, you know, you can't even talk about them, you know, and people will just start labeling you and saying horrible things. So it's like, these are the conversations that a lot of people just avoid because there's some people that are just so irrational about it and will freak out and throw a fit, you know, and so people just can't even talk about it like logical adults, you know, because some people just refuse to be rational and refuse to have a sensible conversation and refuse, if you don't agree with their viewpoint on something, they just want to murder you. And it is just
It's insane. You can't even have a logical conversation about half the things that are about the things that are actually important in the world. You can't even talk to people about anymore, because if you don't agree with them, they just label you and they call you a horrible name and a bad person, and you're the devil because you disagree with them on X topic. You know, and it's unfortunate that we can't just talk about things. Robert Bonsley, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I will decline from reading your comment because it's just gonna spark more people getting outraged. All right. Theon says, Luke, you're my favorite. Well, thank you. Shiv Katal says, you rock, Luke. Long shot, 100% Luke. Well, thank you. Yeah. Heaven help them if they ever played a Spartan-based D&D game. Yeah. People need to learn to get along when they don't agree. Yeah, I mean, there are places that literally have safe zones where, you know, you're not allowed to disagree with them in those areas. Like, you go there to, like, be around an echo chamber, you know, and only be with people who agree with what you believe, you know, and they don't want to be around anybody else that believes other things. That is so horrible. You know, to not be around, like, to just totally reject other people who believe different things than you. That doesn't seem very accepting and tolerant. You know, it's like, if you believe something besides what I believe, I'm going to yell and scream at you and get upset at you. Like, and the same people that do that will preach tolerance a lot of times. I just don't get it. It seems illogical to me. You know, it's like, if we're talking about tolerance, shouldn't we listen to each other? And shouldn't we be able to have these conversations, you know, instead of yelling and screaming at each other? Like, that doesn't, you're rejecting me and everything that I am because I don't agree with you on this one particular thing. That doesn't seem very tolerant or accepting or loving of you to act that way. You know, we should be able to talk about these things and not want to kill each other. But, you know, yeah. But yelling and screaming is the way to get what you want, I suppose, to make other people shut up and not want to approach you on that topic. The thing is, the problem is that, you know, most people don't agree with you. They just don't want to bother with you and you freaking out at them, and so they just don't say anything. But most people don't agree with you. Just, you know. It's a temper tantrum. Yeah, half the time it is. It's a temper tantrum. It's what children do. Yeah, to get their way. I'm sure Twitter has been plagued with this stuff for ages. I block things on Twitter all the time. You know, one of the best things you can do on Twitter to make your Twitter feed, like, make yourself feel better on Twitter, is just to block people. Constantly mute them and block them. And then you don't get them in your feed. Every time I see political message, a social cause message, I block them 100% on Twitter. It's like anytime somebody's like promoting their, like, you know, social cause or whatever and freaking out on Twitter, instant, just block, mute. I don't usually I mute them, but yeah, I just mute them. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Goodbye. Go away. Thank you. Have a nice day. I don't want to hear it. And then your Twitter feed gets a whole lot cleaner, and you're happier. You're just happier individual when you don't have to read that crap. All right. Owen has a question. What's a new and interesting way to start an adventure? I'm looking beyond the standard tavern. Oh, I don't know, dude. I'm really tired right now. Best answer ever. You gotta get creative, dude, and think of a different way. You all meet in a jail cell. No, Skyrim has done that a million times. You all grew up together. I don't know, dude. I don't have any creativity right now. Ask on my Discord. People will get you a better idea than I have. I'm too tired to create right now. And I want my pasty. What do you think about big bads that are above CR 30? I don't have a problem with that. I think it's fine. Yeah, Nixon, I did do a video about starting a tavern. Owen, I made a video for you. Owen, I made a video for you about that very topic about a year ago. But it's there, and I made it just for you because I knew you were gonna ask that question. Look at that. Saved. Totally saved my reputation. All right, guys, we are doing a giveaway tonight. Please join the giveaway. We're gonna draw the winner. It's a D&D book or DM Lair store credit. So there's a link in the chat. Go sign up. It's free. We're gonna draw the winner in just a couple of minutes here. So this is your last chance to get in on that. Also, if you have not followed my next Kickstarter, Layers and Legends, there's a link in the chat for that as well. It's gonna be launching next Tuesday. There are early bird specials where you can save money. So you definitely want to support, if you want to support the project, you definitely want to do it early on so you can save money. And you get a whole bunch of cool stuff too. Pasties with gravy or ketchup? Oh, ketchup, dude. I just love it with ketchup. I do. The pasty purist will, well, it depends, dude. There are lots of pasty purists who love ketchup on it. But there are some people who think they're more pure than others, and they'll be like, nah, gravy, you must do it with gravy. Ah, dude, I like ketchup on it. What's in the mug? Tea. It's green tea with lemon. Look at that. Hold on, let's get that big. Let's get that nice and big for you. Green tea with lemon. There you go, buddy. That's what's in there. $2 super chat. Thank you. Dylan just had to know what was in the mug. I want to know so much that I'm willing to pay you money for it. Any thoughts on Paizo making 5e content again? I mean, money train, baby. Dude, jump in on the money train. Come on, baby. Like, you can sell your content to people who play Pathfinder, and you can convert that same content, adventure arcs and stuff like that, over to 5e content, and then the people who play 5e will buy it. Like, do you know how easy it is to convert an adventure over from like 3.5 Pathfinder over to 5th edition? Like, not too hard. You know, like, it's there. You just convert it really quick, and then the potential players and dungeon masters you can sell to broaden immensely. Like, money train, baby. Why wouldn't you do that? If you can, and you can remain SRD compliant, which is the real trick there, then shoot, dude, do it, baby, do it. I think there was another theory out there too about them trying to, the other theory was that Paizo wasn't doing well financially, so they need more money, but also they might be wanting to get wizards to buy them or something. There was some theory I saw mentioned somewhere about that. I don't know, but whatever, dude. Why not? Like, you're a company. Your goal is to make some money, baby, right? So why wouldn't you jump in the 5e action? Like, everybody's doing it. You probably already spoke on this, but how much time does it take you to prepare for a single session? It depends on if I have to create the adventure or not. If I'm creating the entire adventure, creating an adventure for me could take 2 to 6 hours. It depends on how long the adventure is. If I've already created the adventure and my players are in the middle of running that adventure, then preparation for me might take 30 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how much I read over the adventure, study the monsters and stuff. Like right now, for instance, tomorrow, I'm running an Ancient Dragon campaign, and they're my patrons who play with me, and they are in the middle of an adventure that I have already created. Now, it took me probably 4 hours or so to create that adventure, but I've already made the adventure and they're in the middle of running it right now. And I know that I have enough content already created that it's going to take them for sure the entire next session. So I don't need to worry about creating more content. And so my preparation for tomorrow is literally just going to be pull up the adventure that I already wrote. I'm going to read through the adventure again so that I'm familiar with it. And then I'm going to take the monsters and I'm going to look at their stat blocks. And I'm going to make sure that I'm familiar with their stat blocks so that I can run it smoothly at the game table and I'm not taking too much time thinking, you know? But that's going to be my prep. And it's probably going to take me about 30 minutes to an hour to prepare for tomorrow's game session. But that's because I'm just reviewing and revising things so that I can run the game smoothly at the game table. Now, if I had to prepare an entire adventure for them, we're talking 2 to 6 hours probably to write that adventure. If I'm running from a module, it takes me less time usually. But this is like a homebrew, I guess I'm saying. All right, I'm drawing the winner to the giveaway now. And then we're ending the stream. So let's see who won. Let's see who won. I want my pasty. I want my pasty. All right, drawing the winners, baby. Drawing the winners. Here we go. Here we go. So exciting. All right, let's see. Come on, baby. All right. YouTube screen name, Ben Tolman. Are you here, sir? Are you here? Ben Tolman, you are the winner. I will be sending you an email asking you what you want, and then we'll get you hooked up, dude. So if you're not here, that's cool. You still won. I'll email you. You're very welcome, Kevin. Thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. Waffles. Thanks, Waffles. See you later. Bye, Heather. Aquatius. What's up, dude? All right, we're going to take off now. Have a wonderful Friday evening, folks. And I will see you next week. I think we're streaming on... Oh, well, next week is Layers and Legends. So I have a special stream Tuesday morning. Early Tuesday morning, we're going to have a pre-stream before the Kickstarter launches. So that'll be fun. I'll see you then if you get up early enough. All right, guys, I'm out. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.